Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up live show, presented as always by our friends at High Noon. Solly here. The Pie Man is here to put the 2023 U.S. Open in the books. Hello, Pie Man.
Hello, guys. I think half of us are going to sound like our dog died tonight, but let me just say up front, hell of a win by Wyndham Clark. Unbelievable week. Can't wait to talk about
classiest. The classiest one. First one. Let me be the first to congratulate Wyndham Clark on winning the U.S. Open. TC is here, a big Wyndham Clark stan. Big pick of his coming into the week. He invented Wyndham Clark.
Guys, I don't need any congratulations from you guys. I just need some apologies after Tommy went out and shot 63.
Did he? I missed that. I didn't tune in until the leaders were going off. So I must have missed that one.
Thank you for that. Neil is here to help reconcile the week. He has not been on the shows this week, but he's been chirping in a lively way in the chat. And I look forward to addressing a lot of the questions and a lot of the statements Neil has made privately this week. Hello, Neil.
Good being with you. I'm here so I don't get fined. Please carry on.
We didn't ask you to be here, Neil. You demanded that you come in here and address all this. When it was looking better for Rory, you were really excited to get in here. But
you guys, the receipts will show that I was asked to come on, win or lose, and I'm
please, Sar, please, we need you, Neil. We need your energy, please.
Solid. Before we get to any of the pre-show stuff, at what point will you be running to my house?
There is a bet that was made last night. TC very scuzzily bet a Tommy Fleetwood that was out early on the soft golf course against Scotty Scheffler in contention in the tournament. Hand up on me. I was foolish enough to take that bet. I should have known when Tommy was out of the tournament that he would then turn on the gas and then run through the finish
Scotty
line.
By 7.
And put up a Wikipedia top 10. That's on me. I should have known that. So to close out
Solly, top
tonight,
5.
All he does is top 5.
Tommy Blumenthal. Love it.
Stolen valor.
I will be sprinting to TC's house, which is around the corner from me, to close out the show, which was what the bet was. He's going to have a soapbox to end the show with whatever he wants, and he gets to start it when I leave, and he finishes when I reach his house around the corner. So it will be a sprint.
It will not be a down the leaderboard because we do not want to diminish down the leaderboard and put it at the end of the show.
Of course. So we will. I wish I'd have thought through the pizza and McFlurry and the high noons leading into this sprint post midnight through my neighborhood. But we'll probably have my neighbors calling the police. But listen, a bet is a bet, and I will pay it on time. Summertime is here, which means the limited edition High Noon Pool Pack is back. It has peach, it has lime, 2 limited edition flavors, guava and kiwi, which happen to be my favorite. I would love to get them off the limited edition list. It's made for days by the pool, days on the green, days by the lakeside. Fill your cooler with the essentials, High Noon and ice, and get out with your friends and enjoy the sun. The High Noon Pool Pack is only available this summer, so get it while you can. Look for it on Drizzly or wherever you buy High Noon. I see them everywhere. You can find them anywhere. You don't have to look too hard for them.
So you know what? Your bring the pool pack year round is kind of like play the Ryder Cup every year. You know, sometimes it's good when it's limited edition. You know, it makes it hit that much harder.
I don't know if High Noon has the rights to use Ryder Cup in their ad copy, so I'd like to point out that was editorialized. But you can to find it near you.
Bob Hogan's last night. I think probably in the clear.
You can find it at highnoonspirits.com. It's, of course, made with real vodka, real juice, 100 calories, gluten-free, and no added sugar.
You haven't wished me a happy Father's Day yet.
Happy Father's Day, TC. You are my daddy. You win the bet. All right. I thank you, Dad, for everything you've done for me. Happy Father's Day.
And Cody, too.
I did wish them, all of you guys, that last night. So thank you very much for that as well. DJ, give me your takeaway from Wyndham. You're the best at setting the stage for what we just witnessed. Wyndham Clark wins the U.S. Open. How are you feeling right now?
I feel devastated. I thought Rory played exceptional golf, despite what you might hear over the next 2.5 hours on this podcast. I thought he played great. I thought he missed a lot of putts that are kind of, statistically unlikely to go in. And we would have wished they went in, but they didn't. I thought Wyndham Clark absolutely balled out today. TC, I don't know if he is a certified BDP in your eyes, but I thought he was so impressive yesterday. I was very worried that we might see exactly what we saw today. And that's why you build a 3-shot lead, man. He had a little wobble coming in, but it didn't matter. Absolutely stoned it on that long lag putt on 18. Kind of had to be like the most nervous putt of his life. Shout out to Zinger. And I was very, very impressed with Wyndham Clark. I liked LACC a lot more than everybody else. We can get into that. Just a full kind of a sensory blitzkrieg for me today. I was overwhelmed, man. It was a lot to take in, and I had a fucking blast watching it.
TC, what's your reaction?
Gosh, I'll push back a little bit on Rory playing great golf when he putted like absolute ass. I mean, he was hitting all sorts of greens. I'll give him that. Like he was hitting all the greens. So
yeah,
except for the one that he missed on 14.
And that's tough, TC. You're not going to hear defense from me there.
Wyndham Clark chipped it extraordinarily well. I was blown away by that. I thought his lag putting, like the lag putt on 13, was exceptional. Unreal. I thought he hit a couple clunkers down the stretch that should have been penalized more than they were. We can get to that. And then I thought Rick, I'd like to apologize to everybody for upgrading him back to BDR last night. He's
thank
now
you, TC.
back
That's
to
big.
MDR.
That's really big.
That's cool.
I was going to ask for that, so thank you.
That's very cool. Thank you.
And then I think overall LACC. I love the golf course. I think it's a great golf course. I've got some qualms with 18 that hasn't changed, but I think the fans and the broadcast. There was so much wrong with this event in general, but I don't think the golf course was one of those things.
I'll join you on that, TC, and we can expound on that a little bit. But Neil, listen, we've got the reaction to Wyndham winning. You are the host, of course, of the perennial I don't even know what you call it, the quarterly almost block party that we have for Rory in hopes and anticipation of him winning a major championship. Where are your emotions at right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a get together that kind of comes about organically. Everybody's welcome, including you chuckleheads.
Organically,
we're
put
not
out a press release last
We're
night.
not feeling good about it. I would say this though. I do want to give Wyndham Clark a shout out. Deej, I think you said it last night. I was kind of hoping, I think maybe all of us were hoping he's faking it. He's faking the confidence. He's trying to, like will it to happen, and it's not fake. And I think he deserves a ton of credit because he probably has to feel everybody, being like, oh, this guy's not for real. And he just doesn't care. And he and his caddy seemed like a really strong team. And that it was really impressive the way they held it together through the back nine. So, I'm not a very good sports fan. I don't have like a lot of teams that I ride for. When you see people getting in like all out brawls at NFL games, like don't care, wouldn't do it. But I find myself rooting very hard for Rory. Like I'm probably still sweating from how hard I was rooting, and that feels good to actually give a shit about something. And so I'm bummed out because I feel like I really wanted him to win. None of us expected him to win. I didn't pick him to win this week. Didn't think it was a good course fit, and it just would have been awesome. It would have like made me feel some things. So I'm very disappointed. I feel like he did play really well. He was number one in, greens and regulation. I think proximity to the hole could be better, but I thought he played a really good U.S. Open game plan. I thought he was very conservative. Other than 14, he pretty much missed in the right spot all day. But there's just like that little extra 1%, which is dumping that wedge on 14. TC, you're absolutely right. That was devastating. And then 18, it's like, man, I gotta have something.
The 3-putt on 8 was like one of the more egregious things I saw.
No, that one didn't bother me as much. Early in the round, I felt like it's
Really?
it's a par.
Oh, hand up there.
Yeah, but sure, that's a Rory brain fart that I would love to.
That was in the models.
See. But it kind of is in the models, and I was like, you know what? There's a lot of golf left here. You got a guy that's not used to being in this position, who proved me wrong because he got the job done. But I'm like, God, if Rory can just keep making pars, this guy's going to come back to him. And if he gets him in a playoff, I feel like Rory wins that. So I felt pretty good until, we just didn't stuff it on 18. And that was like, where it was like, oh my God, man, we got to have it. And from a putting standpoint, other than the short miss, I don't think he missed any putts he was supposed to make. Like maybe the par putt on 14, but like those long putts, I thought one of them would drop for him. I really did. It felt like Saturday and Sunday, he couldn't buy a bomb, and Ricky was making all of those on Saturday. His luck kind of ran up. He can't, it kind of came back to the field a little bit with his putting. I thought Rory might find that a little bit, and he didn't. So, hey, hand up. I'm sorry. I was rooting for him. You know what? Shamelessly rooting for Rory, and that's tough.
I'm going to put this on. I think you have, for your own game, have too low of expectations for putting. Like, you have a goal of like, let's just not miss any putts that we should make. And you have to have higher expectations for your personal putting. And I'm going to ask that you have a little higher expectations from Rory than just, oh, he only missed one like 4-footer today, which is just, he missed the putt, the par opportunity on 14, even after getting the enormous break, a bad chip, and missing that putt was almost worse than the bunker shot, which just like, he got a kind of a bad break and a good break on the bunker shot. I mean, it probably shouldn't plug in the lip of that thing, and it probably either would have come back in the bunker or wrestled where it ended up being. I know everyone was freaking out about the break, but it wasn't that great of a break. It kind of just ended up where it probably should have anyways. And to not get that up and down, even after feeling like you had something go your way, was really tough. To stuff it in there on 9 and not really give that a great run. It just felt like he had a bunch of those like Rory putts that are slightly like on the wrong side of 50% of you making them, and they just didn't go in. He had a hard lip out on 5 from way downtown when he looked like he was pretty dialed in, and then it just didn't seem right the whole rest of the day. But it didn't really seem right for anyone. I mean, nobody really putted well this afternoon aside from Cam. Can you let me finish the damn sentence, TC? I was gonna get there. Okay, relax. And it just the greens did get that US Open like dried out, like putting on a pool table kind of thing that just made it really hard to steer home, which makes what Wyndham did that much more impressive, because it's easy to forget he whiffed the ball on 8 basically after barely missing his approach shot in from the fairway. Whiffed it, then goes way long with the chip. Now he's chipping from off the green on the easiest hole in the golf course and having to get up and down for bogey. Did that. Misses 9 green, gets up and down, and then misses long left on 11 and hits a sick, nippy pitch off from below the green, off out of Bermuda rough that's kind of bared down, but up there, and got that up and down on 11. And that was when it was like, dude, those are the moments where we have the story. It comes around a lot. We're like, oh, is Corey Connors going to win the PGA? And they just never do. Like, they have those moments where they go backwards for a 3-hole stretch, and Wyndham had his chance to do it and didn't do it until very late when he had the cushion to do it. And I'm stunned. I'm left stunned by this result. I mean, we explored the possibility last night, but again, there's a lot of dudes like Wyndham Clark that get there after 54 holes, and almost none of them win after 72 holes. And it's been a while since we've had a major like this. I know he's 32nd ranked player in the world. He's not a dud, but it feels a little bit like a dud winner right now, which I hate to say.
It feels, I said it on the pod last night, that like this feels like it could be a Gary Woodland, right? Which it feels super comparable to me, where it's just like, man, it's really good player, a guy who has won golf tournament, or I guess, one PGA Tour event now, but has, decorated amateur career. And it's certainly not like a phony out of nowhere. And he just kind of, so you expect him to not get those balls up and down. You expect there to be a 3-putt in there somewhere, and it just wasn't. He just was rock solid until at least he had a 3-shot lead and, hit some clunkers on kind of a one-hander on 17. And then the Mondo poof, as you called it, on AT&TC. I don't want to get you riled up. I know you were upset by that.
I was.
That T-ball.
Yeah. I mean, listen, all credit to Wyndham as far as like the second shot into 14 was unbelievable.
Oh, so
you were marveling at it on Twitter. It was fantastic. Like, that was one of the shots of the week.
He had so many fairways too with that length. And I mean, he was kind of like maybe not going step for step with Rory, but like pretty damn close for at least those first.
I still don't know how he
16
creates the ball speed. I mean, he doesn't look like he's swinging that hard, and it's
crazy.
like 188. It's
Cruising.
like, geez, man. And it's high fade. I
don't know. I'm left a little bit disappointed where he bogeys 15, he bogeys 16 after a really good, recovery wedge in there. Misses what was a tough putt. I don't begrudge him for that. Pulls one on 17 that was a worse shot than where it ended up.
Yeah.
Hits a great chip, but like wasn't really penalized for that. And then should have been off the fucking planet on 18.
Before we get to 18, I'll just point out, like, there's a reason dudes mess around so much in practice rounds, chipping and putting to the different hole locations. Like,
that was a bad swing, though.
0% chance he knew that was a good place to play from, though, right? I mean, you don't miss there if it's totally dead. If that's below the green or an awful chip, you don't miss there. I'm not saying he was trying to hit it there, but like that's marked in your book that that's an easy up and down from over there.
And then there's just, I don't know, I guess with Rory, like, it's like every little opportunity to place some pressure on him.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. right? And it's not so much those bombs that he's not making, Neil. It's like those 15 to 20 footers.
The one on
like,
15, the one on 15's got to go and send a message back to 14 with Wyndham coming up to play that hole. That was the one that was just kind of like, it's
the long ones, he putted well. I felt like other than 8, like he had good weight on him and all that. It's the ones that they're not even really sniffing the hole, man. It sucks.
I thought he burned the hole a lot, but like
early on,
they
especially
they didn't go in. Like
early on,
even the
like
putt on
down
18,
the stretch,
it was
I
like I
feel
thought
like
that
it
was
didn't.
good 5 feet out. I was like, oh my god, he made that.
That was a
like,
long, but that was a long one. Like I'm feeling like the 15 and 20 footers, he didn't really give a chance. So
yeah, I had the one on 12. It could have gone. The one on 15 could have gone. I think he didn't make it on 6. Is that right? Or no, he did. Missed it on 6.
I mean, it's a fail. Like, listen, I'm not going to apologize for Rory. It's a failure. He didn't win, right? But I do think coming out of what we saw at Memorial, he's building something. I feel like he's been fighting his swing until Memorial. I felt like there was a bit of a found it moment off the tee, and his swing off the tee looks so good. It's so fun to watch him hit it.
He drove it amazing this week.
Yeah, like wedges are, it's still, there's some boneheaded shit that still happens, and that's frustrating. But I thought he put himself in a position to where if you run it in the, the data boys run it in the models, like Wyndham comes back to drops another stroke there. If you run it 10 times, right? Like you're like, oh, guys, an unproven player. Yeah. Like I was kind of happy with how he battled on 16, 17, and 18 was a little disappointing, but I mean, he got crowned on 17 in the other fairway, but but then he had an excellent approach shot.
That was awesome. That was so good. I have to bring this up, Neil. All right, because I woke up this morning, had a nice Father's Day lunch, with my father-in-law and the family, and got a message on my phone from Slack. You misquoting some quotes from last night on the show, where we I said something along the lines of, if you're going to put that much pressure on 4 tournaments a year, I said there's no chance you're going to sleep great. You tried to quote me as saying no way you go play well tomorrow.
You said no way you sleep great and no way you go out and play free. And I
fearless golf
and played fearless golf. And I thought that you guys spent way too much time last night talking about all the reasons Rory wasn't going to win, and he didn't break down that he played good golf yesterday. And I'm tired of you two specifically sitting on the fence. You're either rooting for him or you're not.
100% rooting
and
for
so
him.
You want to be there. You want to be at the block party, but then you want to talk shit while you're there. And it's like,
you guys
I don't want to be
work
around
the block party.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. It's a little bit like, hey, why don't
we're not going to slurp the guy with abandon.
Now, guess what? No, I'm not asking you to slurp him with abandon. I'm saying acknowledge that he's playing good golf. It felt like a funeral last night.
We know that.
Here's what's funny to me. TC, looking at you specifically, is when we push back on the Fleetwood stuff. It's just what do you want me to do? What do you want me to not ride for my guy just because he hilariously makes mistakes every fucking time in the same way? What, you want me to just call that out? I'm not gonna do that. He's my fucking guy.
But I'm not coming at you for.
Did I come in a little hot? Yeah, but I'm listening. I'm watching the live show this morning with my coffee,
on my leg,
and I'm like, wait a second.
This
is like you guys had already I'm sorry. I still have some hope. I was like, I think he's going to get it done. I'm going to be there next major. And it's like, it's just a little bit like, oh yeah, I mean, Rory's not going to do it. It's like, well, then just move on. Just move on to the next topic.
That's cool.
I think after 9 years, it's fair to put the onus on. Like, we've seen this movie. That's the point I was trying to make last night. It was like, man, he wants this really freaking badly. He talks about how much he wants it. Every year, a year goes by where he doesn't win one of these. It adds another layer of pressure that he's feeling in these moments. There's so much anticipation. All the things he's said and done over the last several years have led to, like, these are the only things that matter, which has just put himself into a corner where, like, dude, I pretty much was feeling last night that we were going to get another Old Course Sunday. And that's exactly what today felt like. He birdied the first hole, did not make another birdie after that. And it just felt like the Rory that we've seen in those final rounds for so long. It's very obvious he's playing well. It's very obvious he's competitive and hitting it well, but it didn't feel like last night he was going to get it done. It did not feel that way. And it feels, I hate to say that feels validated today, but I'm emotionally rooting for it. And I just don't feel like it's on the verge of happening. It felt like he lost by 4 today and not 1.
Neil, he didn't make a
that's
birdie
my,
after
my
the
argument would be like,
today.
Charlie, congratulations. You both are right. And I hand up, you know what? You were 1000% right. Didn't get it done. Looked like the Old Course. All that's right. But just don't say you're rooting for him emotionally, because you're not. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, I'm sick.
He's like my favorite player. How could I? It's like,
I mean, it's just
it's like when I expect the Reds to lose. They're my favorite team.
It's just fence sitting. That's all.
It's not fence sitting.
It's fence sitting. That's
Neil,
what it
he
is.
made one birdie today. He birdied the first hole, and he made 16 pars and a bogey.
And TC, it's a U.S. Open.
Yeah, I think that
Like that's kind of the fucking point,
right.
But it's
Guys,
not,
we had a long afternoon. The grill got hot. We cooked up way too much food, and nobody really came through. Neil had me fucking grind. I'm still wearing my apron. He wouldn't let.
You know what? I
He just
appreciate
kept
that.
holding on hope, guys.
It's just it was the same
it's
thing.
just-
we saw
it's a
at
little
St.
fresh.
Andrews.
and that's
He-
fine. You know what? You guys are right. I'll eat it. You guys can dance on my grave, but
We're
I
not
just-
dancing on your
That's
grave.
that's
I'm
totally fine.
You
I'm
came
here.
at us.
Here's where I want to correct the record on the St. Andrews stuff. This was very different to me, at least.
I feel
Just-
similarly, but
In
thank you.
that St. Andrews was there for the taking. Cam absolutely took it, stepped on Rory's face. Rory needed to bring a flamethrower that day and just was playing US Open golf. This was a very different setup. And I think he was trying to hang around, trying to see what happened. And Wyndham Clark didn't come back. So I guess you could say he should have pressed it and he should have pushed it and whatever, but you saw Ricky pressing it down the stretch and it just does, you missing horrible spots and you're not even close. He came up, he lost by 1. I didn't think it felt like he lost by 4. That's a personal opinion, but
Wyndham did come back though. You bogeyed 15 and 16, right on command, and Roy just he didn't make a birdie for the last 17 holes.
yeah, no, I'm aware of that. I know, but he also he made 1 bogey in the last 17 holes as well. I think a lot of US Opens that gets it done. Not today.
Listen, we
I
have a
just
lot
don't
of
think this was that U.S. Open though either.
Sure.
We have a lot of stuff to discuss. This episode is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Titleist, the #1 ball in golf, and it's confirmed. TC, I know you had questions going in about whether or not they would be the #1 ball at the U.S. Open for 75 years. They called it before the week started, before that they were going to win the ball count. It turns out they did win the ball count this week at LACC. A total of 106 players, only 106 out of 156 played the Pro V1 or the Pro V1X more than 5 times its nearest competitor. That includes, of course, the 123rd U.S. Open champion and Pro V1X player Wyndham Clark. You can't compete at a U.S. Open unless you're in complete control of your golf ball. From those high fades with his Titleist TSI-3 driver and T200 3-iron to those low spinners with the Vokey SM9 wedges, Wyndham had his Pro V1X dialed from tee to green. Again, we referenced this in the U.S. Open preview pod, but it's mind-blowing to see what Titleist does to ensure that the Pro V1 and the Pro V1X flies consistently. I did not understand. You see that word consistency a lot in a lot of commercials, and it took seeing it up close and personal to understand exactly what that means, to spin consistently and perform the way you expect it to when you execute a shot. I know your brain was working in overdrive when we were out there. Any takeaways specifically that you had on that front?
It's not just the ball; it's everything that they produce around the ball that plays into the ball, like the molds and the stuff that they do to, for quality assurance and the X-ray machines and all that stuff. It's nuts.
It's nuts. It's #1 ball in golf for a great reason. We appreciate Titleist. Neil, what are you haven't been on the show. We've talked a lot of LACC this week. What are your takeaways as a viewer and not a hardcore podcaster this week on your experience watching LACC?
Never seen the course up close, or never been there. So everything was kind of my opinion of it is through the TV / the YouTube video that you guys put together. I like the look. I'll start with the good. I like the look of the course. I think number 11 was very striking hole. I thought NBC, to their credit, did a good job of covering number 6, number 8, and number 11 were the 3 holes that really stuck out to me. And I thought they did a good job of showing why those holes were unique. I thought the vibe was atrocious for, the first 3 days. I'm cool with the Sunset Wilshire stuff. I'm not a huge LA guy, so it's everything glitters is gold. Oh my, fucking, you can miss me with all that bullshit. That's a true dude for me. So it's right in the middle of Hollywood. It's kind of yeah, cool, man. But nobody can play it, and it sounds like it's really stuffy. And they turned it into probably the stuffiest U.S. Open we've ever seen. And then I thought there was the wide fairways. I get angles, everything, but I would like to see a little more pressure on the guys, specifically on 18. I mean, I think that you don't have to step up and hit the fairway on 18 is I don't.
They had a bunch of rough and they cut it down. The USGA made them chop it all down left of 18. After some players came out and complained about it.
So regardless, I think the complaints watching this show and others of the scoring, I thought it played a little easy, and relying on weather is tough. And I would like, the scoring to be a little worse or a little harder, I guess I should say. I thought the course, if you take all over the 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, played a lot more like I'd like to see. And I thought it was very interesting golf. So overall, I thought it was an exciting tournament. And I thought the venue was, good, not great. Let me put it that way. Saul, you had a question here of like Riv versus LACC. I'm kind of Riv all the way as far as a viewer goes. I think it has more striking holes. I think it asks like kind of better questions. Like you have to hit some good drives. It's not everything's wide open. There's a few spots where there are, and I think I would prefer Riv over LACC. But I haven't played either, so that's just truly as a viewer.
It's an interesting question, the Riv versus LACC thing. I think like when it comes to tour, like televised Tour Pro TV golf, I think it's Riv 100%. But I also I think I just liked it. I liked it more than maybe the general sentiment just for its uniqueness, I think. And watching some of those shots down this stretch were like, it was a do or die in a little bit different way, right? I mean, I think again, you saw Ricky hitting it in bad spots on some of these areas. And I think it's easy to lose sight of the fact too, that like the guys that we're watching separate are playing the best golf and making the golf course look extremely easy. There was a lot of guys that didn't make it look extremely easy, but it's hard to argue with. I just saw a text from a friend that said, if Mito if Mito was playing LACC, he would have won the PGA Championship, which kind of puts it into pretty tough perspective, right?
That's well said.
That's a pretty good point.
And I would say, DJ, to that point, earlier in the week, I didn't really see even the guys that weren't playing that well, and maybe this is a broadcast, commentary. I really didn't see the ejections from them.
Yeah.
People got in bad spots. You had to lay up, and maybe this is like on TV, the greens didn't really pop to me. You guys
Totally.
were talking in our Slack about like, oh, this is such a cool green. And I'm like, I'm just not really seeing that.
because everything's from a tower.
Yeah.
So I'm not really getting a sense of
NBC,
like,
man.
oh, he's really boned over there on this side. I can't really see the slope there. And there's some other courses where they've taken, majors where you're like, man, that looks like that's tough. Like,
They showed
even Pinehurst too. The roll, the turtlebacks and stuff. It's a lot easier as a viewer to understand when somebody is, in the bone zone.
They showed one Wyndham shot yesterday, I think, like one putt at ground level, and it was just like, holy shit, is that the same golf course? Like he's playing that thing like 15 feet out to the left. And
I've struggled with this all week of like, dude, I was like just fucking there. I just saw this, man, and it is awesome. It is sweet. It makes me uncomfortable. It is hard. It is like everything you'd want in a US Open test. And I watch on TV and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I kind of see where people are coming from on this. Like if you only experienced it through watching it, like 99.9% of people only experience, unless you're a member of the club, only experience it through watching it on television. And like everything gets flattened from the views they use. They're in commercials so much, you don't even understand the flow of it all working. And like, it's a bunch of things that probably, like, I think the golf course is great. I think it's a golf course worthy of hosting the US Open Championship, a golf course that is worthy of it. Yet when you add in the vibe, atmosphere, some of the stuff that's gone on with tickets, some of the stuff that's gone on with the club in general. Like, do I think that this is like a home run winner US Open host? I'd probably say no at the end of it all. I mean, if we're talking about like wanting the golf courses of the US Open to be somewhat representative of what golf is like in the United States or aspires to be, it's pretty hard to say like the club that's, in the middle of LA getting the enormous tax break and like hogging up and hoarding all the tickets and profiting from this thing in a big way. And also like not showing up vibe wise for the national championship, probably like not the right like messaging overall. So again, like I think the golf course is totally worthy. I think the criticisms of it being too easy, probably unfair. There's some elements of it that 15 didn't really come alive. 18 just didn't come alive. Like I thought that fairway being wide would have played really well with the proper amount of firmness, and like it actually, the paths to the hole locations actually being driven by where you drove it, and it just didn't end up playing at that level. And maybe LACC doesn't have enough wind and enough conditions to justify this, but it was just like, dude, those flags just did not fucking blow for like 4 days, and 5 more mile an hour of constant wind would have made an enormous difference in how it all played. And I don't know. It kind of ended on a sour note overall of a week that I still was really excited for. Also, sorry, last thing, just like kind of sour about like the modern state of the game, and like watching and seeing that in person and watching pros make it look kind of silly at times is just like a bummer. Like it really was jarring.
Yeah, it can kind of go both ways because it's crazy that they're able to pull off. It's crazy that they have to stretch it to the lengths that they have to stretch it to. But also, if you're paying attention to the numbers on the screen as they're hitting the shots, like the shot that Rory hit into 11 today was just like, dude, that's like 300 yards, and he's just making it look like child's play. Like, this is fucking insane. 7 was the same way. I mean, a lot of those, like even like the really long irons into 16, 17, 18 are like, man, these are really freaking hard shots, and it's hard to make them look hard on TV when you don't have what I would assume we'll have at Pinehurst, what we've had at Shinnecock in the past, which is like the hit the green, ball looks like it's done rolling, and then it just keeps rolling and keeps rolling and keeps rolling and keeps rolling, and like that's what changes everybody's mind. And we had 2 of those this week.
Yeah,
right?
I did not see that, DJ. Where it was like
totally,
like there was a couple spots like you brought up. I think it was 8 where Wyndham barely missed left. Yeah. And yeah, he was boned, but like there weren't a lot of times when he hit the green and barely missed and he was boned. Like he didn't get rejected from these greens. And that was I felt like that was missing if you're going to give people a break off the tee.
He also was boned in a few spots and just hit like ridiculous shots.
Yeah, his wedge work won him this tournament.
Like, off of today. Like what was that, 11? Like that was insane. I mean, there was some that was like, yeah, man, like you won that tournament there. I think overall the from an LACC perspective, yeah, I'm trying to separate out the golf course and all the extraneous shit around it. Like NBC was god awful. They're incapable of doing anything that's not from a tower. The audio was fucking terrible all week. The plane buzzing, like they made no adjustments to that. It was their plane, I guess, which is even more incredible to me. The commentary was just absolutely brutal from Zinger. I mean, like mind blowing.
I'm all right.
I'm normally fine with Zinger.
I'm honestly fine with Zinger. He's like the least of my problems.
Noda's the best guy that they have to send out with the final group. Even when they're not in commercial, like when they don't have any commercials, the last hour or so, they're still doing Just a Moment Ago. There's 2 fucking groups on the course, and you're still doing Just a Moment Ago. Like that's tough.
Well, we'll get to the coverage in a second.
Okay,
I mean, you guys kind of rode pretty hard for LACC.
I'll still ride for it. I thought like the first hole, I think it's a great opening hole for a major. I think 2 is cool. I think 3 is a little bit gimmicky off the tee.
3 stinks. It stinks.
I think it's a cool second shot in there.
Funneling to the same spot is. It's
4.
Just bad.
I thought
really
4,
cool
5,
member
6.
hole, tough US Open hole.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think 6 is one of the best holes in all of golf, tournament or not. I think it's just epic. I think 8's a great hole. I think 11's spectacular. 12's a really, really underrated hole. 14's awesome. Solly, you're not the biggest fan of 13, but I think it's interesting that you have to shape it in there right to left. It's asking a very distinct question. I don't know. Overall, I just feel like everything course-wise this week, everybody was soured because of all the other shit going on, the lack of vibe and how hard it was to get around. I
think also everybody was soured by the 62s.
Yeah, the Thursday scoring.
Like that was like first impression.
I mean,
it's just
it can
like
be a good golf
it's not a US Open.
And also not a good US Open venue.
Yeah, but it's like Pebble was
Open venue. You got to make some adjustments. I think you got to tighten up some. I don't want everything to be high rough, but there's some holes where you could bring the rough up and tighten the fairway. It doesn't have to be wide off every tee box. I don't. That's where I was like, I didn't feel like there was much of a challenge off the tee anywhere on this golf course, and that doesn't feel like a complete test to me.
The biggest thing for me, just that soured it for me, was Joel Beal reported this morning, and I'd heard this previously, that the membership at LACC tried to buy up every single ticket. So this is basically a private event. That to me is pretty fucked up.
Which sucks. Yes, that's
right.
bad.
And it's like, why even want to host this other than just it being some sort of weird flex, right? Like that's antithetical to the national championship. You would want to host it and bring the world to your course and show them what it's all about and have it with open arms and all that. I think they copped out with how many fans they could have. I heard Juan was scrambling around all over town trying to get more people to come and, giving some tickets out here and there.
Who needs tickets? I got 4.
I got 4. And like that to me just doesn't add up to like the philosophy of our national championship and what the governing body of the sport should be trying to do.
Which we've talked about this ad nauseum all week, but I think it bears repeating on the Sunday show here is like there's I think a disconnect between Bodenhammer. I don't know really where Mike Whan stands. I know he's still pretty early in his tenure, but like the people at the USGA, I think have moved past. We are thick. I should say most like the setup people at the USGA have moved past like we are thick, rough. We are golf's toughest test. We are all this bullshit because I think they've almost like waved the white flag on technology and all of that stuff just to say like this is artificial. We can keep it at even if you want, but like that's not going to be a proper test. So I think like there's a disconnect between how those people are like trying to set up the golf course and how the US Open is thought of by most people and still like build a lot of the time in the USGA ads and all of those things, right? Because like, do I think this was like a really, really, really good test of golf that identified the best player and all of those things? Like, yeah, hell yeah. I thought it was way different than a week-to-week PGA Tour event. I thought it felt like a major. I thought all those things were true. Neil, to your point, did it feel like a capital U US Open like that I've come to expect over the last 35 years of my life? No, totally not. So like something's got to change. You know what I mean? There's a disconnect between those two things. And I think that's just going to take a while to suss out.
It's been 5 years. Like they've stopped talking. Like they're like, you should expect
setup people have.
Yes.
The rest of the organization has not.
They're still selling grit hats, man.
That's tough.
You know, like that's the marketing is still there.
Though,
that's why we're trying to get some of these. We've had these people on our pod and in videos of like explaining the specifics of what they're like. We literally said this, the winning score was going to be 10 under before the week. Like this is not, this should not have been a surprise to anyone that was following this even remotely.
And I have no issue with 10 under. I think where I have an issue is I didn't think and I thought I had fun watching the event and I liked the course in spots looked really good. I just thought they wasn't a complete test, especially off the tee. Like I feel like there's room to still have the high rough in spots. I don't need it everywhere, but I didn't feel like it tested the complete game of the golfers. Like I just felt like a lot of guys were getting away with stuff off the tee is kind of my thesis there.
I think the hard part in like a macro sense is like you start growing up rough and then all the bunkering of that golf course just becomes like irrelevant, right? Like a lot of the thought is like keep the fairways firm, keep them wide so that like if you get a ball rolling in the wrong direction, it's supposed to roll into those bunkers. So you grow like 20 yards of rough between, you know, what is now the edge of the fairway and the edge of the bunker. And it just becomes like a really
but where other than number one, where was a bunker? I didn't see anybody even remotely running out into danger. Like number one on the left, yes. And then otherwise it was just like they weren't even in play.
17, that bunker should have been moved up. I don't understand what that bunker was for. Nobody drove it in that bunker left of 17 all week. 16, that was a wonderful bunker. Like it was extremely well placed. It was 335 carry adjusted. No one could get over it. You could get around it if you wanted to, but like that was extremely well placed. So I'm with you. It was not perfect off the tee. I think there were. I mean, I know this is not like in George Thomas's original design, but like if you're going to have the 58-yard wide fairway on the 18th hole, like there needs to be a bunker down the right. There's got to be something guarding that right of like that you don't want to be going down that way, or even like a centerline bunker, some kind of something to avoid with that tee shot would have elevated things a lot. So
last thing, can I say one more thing? 15 super fucking overrated. Like, the 80-yard shot. Like everyone telling me we're going to get some big ass hops, like lacrosse balls into the back bunker. Fuck that, dude. Those guys tore that pin up. There was plenty of room there.
I need to go back and watch the Walker
What are we
Cup
talking about?
It was fantastic for the Walker Cup. And I don't know if it was just the way they covered it or what, but it was a lot less dynamic.
It didn't even look that skinny on that front portion. All I heard all week, I tried to limit my intake of like pre-week stuff, and it was just like, oh man, 15.
Neil, I think that's some of that though is like that comes back to NBC and how like truly abysmal they are at showing some of this stuff.
But I'll say this,
I just don't think the hole played that interesting.
One bogey today on 15 somehow. I don't. And it was Wyndham Clark.
Wyndham
it was
Clark.
the only bogey. Yeah.
Five doubles all week, even when the mules were in the field and the qualifiers were in the field.
So a little bit of like, is 15 like without all the hype? Is 15 a bad hole? Maybe it's just average. Like
man. Like players in this field are like too freaking good.
We
like
just
members
for hype, and it's like it didn't live up to the hype at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's bring in KVV.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Kevin Van Valkenburg, our resident journalist, has been on site all week. We have not talked to him today much at all. We have no idea what he saw. We have no idea what he's getting ready to tell us. But what's your reaction to everything that's just unfolded, Kevin?
Look, I think you can feel happy for Wyndham Clark. I think he played pretty darn well.
You got to give it to him. You got to give it
to him. He did just win the U.S. Open. Seems like a nice fella. Had some great sort of quotes. He was talking. I watched him on the range this morning. Well, I guess it was this afternoon, but for probably he was the last guy off the range, and he was sitting there with his psychology coach, who's also Max's sort of psychology coach, and she was telling him, every time you hear a cheer for Ricky today, remember your goals and get cocky. And he was like, every time he said, I must have done that 100 times today. So every single cheer that someone had for Ricky or for Rory, I just channeled that as like, yeah, that I'm going at this. I thought that was kind of a cool, insightful thing. I mean, he was pretty charming in his press conference. I caught him. He and Ricky Fowler were sort of crossing paths one last time as he was going into his presser and Ricky was leaving his, and he said to Ricky, "Hey man, like next year this is yours." And Ricky was like, "Hey man, that's cool, but like, how does it feel for you?" And he was like, "You know what? It feels really fucking great."
Hey, man, that's cool, man.
TBB, how was the vibe out there today? Was it different than yesterday?
It was different. There was a lot more people. Actually, it's funny, TC, you say that because I got heckled by some LACC member who was pissed off at us he said, "Why don't you go tweet about that there's not enough people here?" And I chirped back at him. I said, "Well, is that because the USGA went and bought 6,000 or more tickets to give out this morning?" And he didn't.
What did he say? You're so right, Kevin. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. TC.
I'm not sure he had that information, but that was right before Rory sort of fanned his wedge on 14. So it was a series of unfortunate events there. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously Rory, it's a pretty big bummer for anybody who was sort of hoping that this was the moment for him. And I think you guys probably saw his quote when I asked him a question about, "Hey man, is it because every time he does this, we're like, what do you think you'll learn from this, or how do you think you'll grow from this?" And I was like, "Hey, are you getting kind of exhausted by these questions about how this is going to build character?" And he kind of chuckled and he was like, "Yeah, but I'd go through 100 Sundays like this just to get my hands on one more major championship." There's a little bit of a reminder of that Brooks quote of like, I'd give back every single dollar that I have to experience that one more time. It just shows you like these things matter. Nobody like bursts into sobbing tears after an event for $15 million. They do it because it matters for history. So it was an interesting day. I mean, I can't feel like Rory hit bad putts. There were so many that were like burning edges, and if the pace was a little bit better, it was never any one that just flat out sucked, except for maybe the putt on 8. I think he was mostly still bumming about the first putt that he had. But like that 8 iron that he hit into that green, I mean, maybe it was a 9 iron, it took one bounce that wasn't firm enough. It would have probably fed all the way down to the hole if it was a little firmer there. It's just kind of how it goes. There's too many random bounces in a major championship, and he hasn't gotten sort of, honestly, when he hit the embedded ball, I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to get a drop out of this fucking terrible swing. This is the break that he needs. If he holds this chip here, all of a sudden, like everything changes. Like that, and of course,
Big 6.
He made 6, and I think that's he said in his presser that he wanted to hit sand wedge. The wind was kind of changing. He and Harry talked it over, and they decided, okay, it's 3/4 gap wedge. And he stood over the ball, and he just felt like, what? I don't know. I don't feel 100% confident over this. And the wind kind of took it, and it just died. He said, if I'd have waited another 15, 20 seconds, I think I would have been better off. I think I had the original club right. I should have just hit a hard sandwich. So
I feel better than him erring on the side of taking more club and trying to finesse something than I would have trying to pound something, at least though. Like that, we'd have eaten him up, I think, if he'd have tried to muscle a wedge.
That's been the issue is him skying wedges.
But the ironic thing is like the only thing you can't do there is miss short.
Yeah.
Kev, what's
it's just that though, TC, like, man,
the margins are thin. I know there's
hard,
like a 3-foot wide spot that he's trying to land that.
It's hard to get 72 of those right. I mean, totally. I'm amazed watching a lot of those shots all week of like the dudes that were carrying the bunkers by like 5 yards on 11 and just like having no doubt. I mean, their distance control. I've never been more impressed with overall distance control after watching a tournament, watching all the shots go into 6 all week and dude just having no problem from 59 yards, 79 yards, 99 yards. No big deal. We'll drop it in there. 15. I just looked at the numbers for 15. 97% of the guys hit it in round 1. 93% in 2, 87 in 3, and 86% in 4. Overall, 93% of players in the entire field, mules included, hit the 15th green. Like it was a lot of grotesque, really good golf play.
Solid. To that point, I think what impresses me more is those last like 16, 17, 18, watching those guys judge their runouts.
Yeah.
They're hitting 6 irons, 7 irons, 5 irons into these greens, and they're landing on the front, and it just trickles up to pin high. It's like automatic. I mean, Cam, Scotty, Rory, like even though Rory's shot on 18 was, off to the left, it's still the right distance.
Especially with how many front pins there were today too.
It's just really good golf, man. So
it's so hard.
KVV story of the day, Tommy.
Yeah,
I mean,
clearly.
Was that just were people just a buzz?
Just buzzing. Yeah, it was clearly. I mean, there was tears in their eyes when he was about to make that putt and then missed it on 18.
That was a good putt, TC. Did we get a reaction from you on that one?
Yeah, it was just like the Gordon Sargent putt on 18. Some weird stuff.
Something was going on with that cup. I think.
Unlucky.
See,
what is the flag out, and it was all a huge bump there.
What is the difference between what Tommy did today and what Cantlay you were alleging earlier about the sort of stolen valor yellow Wikipedia top 10?
Yeah,
I'm very curious about this. We've ridden Patrick pretty hard for this kind of thing. It doesn't freaking matter.
So fine in these.
Yeah, the lines are very fine. It's hard. It's really hard to get it just right. But I'm curious. I wonder if you can help me just
help
put
me
this in
help you.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it's a top 5.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
Tommy doesn't really finish top 10. He finishes top 5. So that's a big
Understand.
difference. He's not skating in on the number, fluffing it,
good
getting
bit.
that yellow.
Yeah.
He's earning the yellow.
Do you think he was under any pressure today? Do you think?
I think he made the cut on the number and ended up finishing T5.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cantlay didn't even miss T10 by a shot.
Okay.
Tommy's contended in majors before. Cantlay hasn't. So that's a big difference. Tommy doesn't need to fluff his resume. Cantlay does.
what's the difference between Tommy's putt on 18 and Rory's on 8?
Rory's a Hall of Famer.
And Tommy's not.
Oh my God! That's a big addition
news! There's
Whoa.
news here.
Bang-a-lang!
Got him.
Especially with all the Masters that's Tommy's won.
Do you think Tommy and Finau got up this morning and were like, we're in this, so we can just shoot 56, 55, somewhere in there?
Are we talking Milton Finau?
You gotta explain this. Are we talking about like Milton Friedman, like the economics guy?
No, we're talking about Milton.
Tony's actual name is Milton.
Really?
Yeah. Or his middle name? Or
Milton.
Oh, it's his first name.
Milton Pua Tony Finau is his name.
Oh my God! I thought this was some like deep economics joke or something.
Tony
like
from
Chicago
Tron
school.
Tron just started referring to him exclusively as Milton in our Slack. Oh yeah, one fucking Milton shoot today. Just killing me.
The best was TC pumping up Fleetwood's major record and dumping on Finau's when Fleetwood has 6 top 10s in majors and Finau's got 10 of them.
So Tony Finau's first name is
I'm
Milton.
not talking
majors,
top
though.
10s. I'm talking top 5s.
I'm
here,
talking
Solly.
a
First
very
of all,
selective ranking that only
Guys,
favors my guy.
and I'll-
How is this the first time I'm hearing that Tony Finau's real name is Milton?
I
This
don't
is
know, you
incredible.
gotta maybe you don't know ball, Neil.
Yeah.
It's not.
Do your
This is
research.
incredible.
right
Pay
there, in front of
attention.
you, man.
I thought
Pay
we were
attention
like
to our
on
Slack.
I'm like an onion joke of economic. I didn't know where we. I thought it was like, oh yeah, Finau, Friedman,
Paradise
Chicago
Lost.
school. Yeah, John Milton. It's incredible.
Paradise Lost.
Also, Tony's 2 years older. Like we don't know what Tommy's going to do over the next
Okay.
Okay.
12, 18.
This is your
24
fault.
months.
This is your fault.
I need some editorial guidance about how I should view these things when I'm out here on the ground, and it's important to have
I
this
appreciate your
perspective.
first person reporting that
You're welcome.
people had tears in their eyes. That's cool.
How did Milton play?
Kev, what was what's the lasting scene? I know you're a big scene guy. Scene kid.
4 on the floor in the Goldman Sachs.
I thought it was pretty cool that Wyndham's sobbing on the green. I mean, he talked a lot about his mom and how much she meant to him. If you didn't hear us last night talking about or didn't read my piece this morning, she died of breast cancer when he was at Oklahoma State, and he really struggled with a lot of stuff since he talked about like being in his car some days and just like beating the shit out of his car and being so angry about. He said he had a great quote. He's like, "Why can't I be as good as my peers? Like, why can't I do the things that they can?" And so, he was looking up and thinking about his mom in that moment and how, he had lost her. He had been through a hell of a lot of stuff, and he'd almost quit golf twice, and he sort of stuck with it. He said it used to like really burn him a lot. He burned him up when people say, "Man, you have such a good swing," because inside he would be thinking like, "Okay, cool, but why can't I get the ball to go where I want?" And I thought that was kind of interesting too. I mean, it's hard to play really great golf, and man, that 3-wood into 14 that he hit, that was the shot of the tournament to me. To just have that moment, Rory's on tilt and he just ropes that 3-wood in there and makes an easy birdie to go up 3. That was the difference to me, because I will say, I think you got heard when I came on, I heard you guys talking a little bit about 18 is pretty toothless. I mean, he hit a really bad drive on 18.
Like, and it's bad.
It was
like the worst.
It was like Phil basically at wing foot. Like, it floated way, way right. Phil's going left, whatever, but a big slice. And of course, it's still in the fairway. And I think that was sort of I was like, oh man, like, how could you get the crowd when that ball was in the air? Usually the crowd can't track the ball, but it was so bad. The crowd was like, ooh, while the ball was in the air.
It was crazy.
That was tough.
It was one of the worst. Like, it should have spun off the planet. It should be in orbit right now.
Yeah. So
it was the 10th hardest hole all week, the 18th hole, which I think if you already have a little bit of an identity crisis amongst like casual fans of your course not being difficult, like a rather benign finishing hole is a tough dessert platter on top of that menu that you've laid out, I guess. So
shout out to TC.
Look, I mean, Wyndham might go on to be like a really great player. So I don't know that this is like a fluky thing. I mean, he hits it so freaking far. Probably should be on the Ryder Cup team now. I mean, imagine putting him with somebody else who hits it really far or who hits it short, and just kind of letting them say, all right, you go out and attack, putting him in alternate shot. I mean, he's good at everything. He got up and down from so many interesting places today. I thought for sure when he fanned it left of 11, I was like, here we go. This is where it's going to come apart. And he hit, not a great shot on 13. He, muscles that out of there. Not a great shot on 15, not a great shot on 16, not a great shot on 17. But he just kept scraping it around. Man, that was the difference between like, guys who blow it in the end of these things and guys who don't, is that he just wasn't going to let that lead go. I think if it had gotten tied, he would have freaked out and Rory would have, maybe closed.
It was also, not only did he get up and down from those spots, I felt like his wedge made it so that he didn't hardly put any pressure on his putter. Mm-hmm. Like the one place he did on 15, he missed that putt. But most of them were just so inside the comfy zone. It was just like almost like for me rooting for Rory, it's just demoralizing. You're like, oh man, there's not even a chance here that he's gonna.
We didn't even down on 8 too.
We didn't even talk about 8 and 9. I mean, 8 and 9 is probably the turning point. I asked him, can you take us specifically through what happened on 8? And he was like, yeah. I mean, my mind was working so fast, and he was like, the next shot that I hit after I whiffed it, I didn't even know where it went. I was like, I have no idea where it is. And my caddy had to show me and he was like, I just told myself to calm down, slow down. The caddy was like, let's just get up and down here. Let's make a bogey. And then he goes and dumps it in the bunker on 9 and has the sort of wherewithal to chip it away from the hole, let it take the slope and makes that putt.
That blew Zinger's mind.
God, no, Zinger backed himself into a corner on that one. He's like, oh, that's not going. No way you get 10 feet. And there's like, that's not going to take the hill. It's not going to get all the way down there. Damn it. Like, 0 for 3.
Say what you want about Zinger. It's kind of fun almost to have a voice of the fan.
Like real time.
That's exactly where I'm at with Zinger. It's like, yeah, man, you know what? That's probably what I would
come
say.
Down? No way. Oh, damn.
Not really adding that much.
This shit out. This is coming down. It's coming all the way down.
What did he say about the plane? The plane earlier? That could be one of those extraterrestrial videos or something. Or like you can turn that into an alien film.
How big were the gas tanks on that plane? I mean, KVV, is the plane loud in person?
A little bit at times when it's over the hole that you're on. You can definitely, it's like I think Cody was speaking to its last night. Like I think it's honestly louder on TV though than it is on person.
That's cool.
One last thing for Wyndham Clark that we haven't mentioned yet. The shot on 4 today was that was big boy stuff. A high cut. I don't know what it was, 4-iron, 5-iron, whatever it was, that back pin that no one was getting it after all day.
Closest to the day, right?
I mean, it was such a good shot. It was so proper, and I just that's going to be a ringing shot in my ears. I think I'm still that and the sound of Rory's 4-iron on 11 are like a couple of the shots that I'll remember the most from today.
Really good. I mean, I thought the chip on 6 as well from that deep rough, short right of the green there. That was a really strong shot as well. KVV, did you follow you follow Rory all day? Did you kind of bounce back and forth? What was your strategy?
I was hauling ass back and forth between the two. I mean, there was a couple, like, luckily you could kind of follow both. So I started out with Rory and then would drop back and then run forward and drop back and run forward. So I was working hard. I hope I burned a few pounds off today.
Circling back, there was 2 birdies on 4 today. Wyndham was by far the closest shot. So
yeah, him and Austin Eckert were the only 2 birdies.
Yeah.
He hit it to 5 feet in the final group trying to win a U.S. Open.
When you go win by 1, there's a defining moment for you.
And I don't know if Rory's 4-footer on 8 to lose by 1.
I don't know if you guys have brought this up yet, but when Rory was waiting to go into scoring, he sort of leaned over to Sean, his manager, and said, St. Andrews all over again.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Definitely he felt the sting of like just not being able to putt well enough. The phrase he used in the presser was, I didn't play poorly, but I didn't do enough.
Which, like, going back to what we were talking about last night, like, if that's his first reaction coming off the green of a major championship, like, you can't tell me the scar tissue isn't like getting to an uncomfortable level, right? I mean, if he's going straight back to like, the most recent of his heartbreaks, and that had to cross his mind midday, right? Like, this is saying it. Like, that's not like the go, like, fuck everyone, I'm Rory fucking McIlroy, I'm going to win this thing attitude. That's like, that's wishful Rory. That's the one that's been hard to watch in majors. I felt like last couple of years,
do something to get over the hump, right?
Yeah, the last 2 years have been way better than the just another guy like Rory in majors that we saw for a couple of years there, and it is worth acknowledging that he is way closer, and I feel better about his chances going forward after the last couple of years. But he's going to have a lot of the same expectations at Liverpool, a place he's won, and then he's going to know, like, then it's 10 years going into the next year if you haven't won one. And like, that's wild to think like this. This podcast exists last time he won a major. I think it started in 14, right? Yeah, that was tough.
It's also just, I don't know. It's kind of cheesy, but like, it's also part of the reason why it's the best that there's only 4 a year, right? Like it's, man, what a mind fuck.
It's just, I don't know. It's
I think
just
he needs
so
a
tough
vacation.
too. Where it's like I feel like he's a better golfer than he was
Gotta give him
2 years ago. I feel like he's a better
Jamaica.
golfer than he was 4 years ago. Like, he's playing better golf tee to green. I feel like he has a better command of his swing and course management and all that. It's just
he hit it so good today. I mean, he was really good with driver. I mean, he missed one time on 16, I think. I mean, I can't. I'm struggling to remember another drive that he hit that wasn't great.
It's also just funny thinking of like the echo of what you said about Wyndham Clark too, KVV, where it's like him walking off the golf course and people talking about like, man, your swing's so good. It's like, Rory, you're playing so great, man. Yeah, I fucking know, dude. I know. Don't care. Just kind of missing one thing still.
It's hard. Like, we have such high standards for Rory, right? And he deserves to have like criticism, high standards for good reason. But like everybody else sort of showed up small in this tournament. All the other big, Scotty was awful today. Rahm was nowhere to be found. Your boy Tony Tony and Tommy weren't even in contention of this. All right. So like Rory's the one dude other than Wyndham who like delivered something above average every single round. And yet like the disappointment is huge. I mean, it shows, I think I wrote this line today, like the gulf between first and second is like emotionally immeasurable. Because like second is so fucking good in the US Open. 9 under in this course this week was really good. And it wasn't even close to being good enough. And that's what's heartbreaking for him, I'm sure.
Scotty finished third. Let's chill out on that. He wasn't any good at any point. But I think Rory needs a vacation. I think, at this point we can acknowledge.
I see why you're saying that.
I know you. I know you.
Can't get to it. You guys will not let me do my job. But by now, you guys know we're big fans of Omni Hotels and Resorts, not just for the championship caliber golf, but the diverse destinations all across the country. We love the fact you can take a golf trip and make it a vacation at the same time, especially this time of the year. So whether you're with the guys or with family, you can escape the heat in the mountains of Virginia at the Omni Homestead or in the hill country in Austin at Omni Barton Creek. If you want a little preview of these, please stay tuned to our YouTube channel, which you're probably watching this on right now. We will have some special film room episodes on these locations. Omni Hotels and Resorts delivers the best modern golf experience from corner to coast, 12 diverse golf destinations with 27 iconic courses and multiple cool short courses. Go to omnihotels.com/NLU and find your golf summer retreat. Also, Omni Frisco, the Fields Ranch Golf Course in Frisco, where we're having the NIT, is a fantastic destination, and we can't wait to get that captured on video for you guys as well. So,
KBV question: Did Ricky see old man Marley with the shovel again or something, and he got afraid again?
He just did not have it today. There was nothing that was great from him. I'm struggling to remember a great Ricky shot throughout the day, and it just nothing is done. Maybe hit a good wedge into 14, made birdie there, but by then it was sort of irrelevant. I don't know. I mean, I really thought that if it was, if it wasn't severely hard, that Ricky was going to be able to win it, and he just wasn't ever. You could sort of feel it slowly coming undone by the third green.
This leading the field in birdies and bogeys. Yeah, kind of summed it up for me. I was like, we were focusing all on the birdies. We weren't really focused on the bogeys, and the putter just, he was kind of unconscious with it for 3 days. You look back, everything becomes clear to me after the fact. You're like, well, I don't think you can keep that pace up.
This is certainly not I told you so, because I thought he was going to keep playing well today, but like we did say it on Thursday too, was like, man, he's been putting up a lot of good results. He hasn't really had a chance to win in a really, really, really long time. And it's really hard when you, going back to everything we just said, like careers being defined by majors. There's only 4 a year. You've got all this scar tissue you're bringing to it. Why haven't you won one? And then you're like, also, I don't have the muscle memory of like going and trying to win a PGA Tour event. It's a tough task for today.
Scotty, what's our reaction to what we saw out of Scotty this week?
Well, I'd like to kick it off and say I thought it was almost borderline criminal of you last night, Solly, to say that was the story of the day. That his bogey birdie finish yesterday was the story of the day. I thought that was like, I thought that was a trash take, and I would ask for an apology to everybody.
I thought he was still going to win. I will not apologize for that at all. I think that was an enormous story.
We knew he didn't have it. And I'm so fucking sick of Hicks and Zinger trying to tell me to find a new slant that his putting isn't a problem. I mean, every chance they get, it's like when Todd Lewis was trying to say like when Bryson and his caddy broke up, it was mutual. It's like, get out of here with this garbage, guys. Oh yeah, they're trying to make it a narrative out there.
Yeah, no, we asked him. He said it's fine.
It's not an issue. And then he's just booting everything on the low side. It's fucking garbage, man. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Before we go any farther, we need to talk about the TIO relief on 7.
Yes, we do. That was egregious.
That's the biggest story of the day for you when it comes to Scotty.
It was up there. Yeah,
is that the biggest one?
No, but I thought that was bullshit. So I'm cool to talk about it.
That was fucking egregious. Like a wire hanging across.
Yeah. Those little TV radio towers or whatever, they are sort of in the way, but he was totally effed there. Like he wouldn't even had a backswing, and he hit such a bad ball off that tee. I could not believe when I saw the rules officials going, I was like, this is just classic Scotty to be able to get to do this. I mean, at least he didn't make the par putt. I don't know how he got spin on that ball coming out of that bark or whatever they hit it out of.
Listen, it was a shot
because he got to place it.
It was a shot link tower. The data guys love him, and the data towers love him. Like the data boy, all the data loves Scotty Scheffler.
I feel like the spirit of the game died a little bit today. The spirit of the rules.
Wow.
Between that with Scotty, between
what did Wyndham's I ask? Can we talk
caddy, between Wyndham's caddy lining him up on every putt.
That was bad.
Egregious, and between Wyndham mashing his lie down behind the ball.
Were you good with Rory's embedded ball? Was that okay?
Different occasions.
Sticking the fingers into the earth, I get a little uneasy with the proctology exam on the rough.
Props to Scotty for finding Rory's ball. I do not think that Rory would have found it if Scotty hadn't been like, I think it's right here.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were starting to get nervous about like they were like feeling in the grass because they could not figure out where it actually had landed. No one could understand it. And Scotty, they were both in the bunker, and Scotty started poking his finger around. I was like, I think it's right here. So there's some spirit. We'll give Scotty the credit for that. That was some good spirit.
So Scotty related. Solly, I'm going to pose you this question. Why did you think he was going to win? Like, we know he's putting horribly. Like, what
putted
what
well
did
this week?
Think?
He putted pretty well overall for the week, right? He's hitting the ball so freaking well that it felt like if he delivered the putting week that he did, I thought he was going to win. He actually didn't hit the ball as well as we're used to with Scotty because he finished third in ball striking this week. That's how good he's been hitting it. Is like he literally finishes first like every week in ball striking and putts so badly that he still finishes in the top 5. So it's like if he gains on the greens this week, I thought he was going to win, and it kind of took him a little while to get going a little bit with the ball. He didn't drive it great the first couple of days, and it just felt like at some point he was going to go on a run. He was going to get hot at least a little bit, and it never really fully materialized. He putted poorly today. We needed, just a couple more of those 15-footers to go at some point, and it never happened. But his floor is just like nobody felt like Scotty played well this week. It did not. There's no highlight memories. There's no like feeling of. I mean, obviously the highlight of 17 on Saturday, like the hole out, the freakish hole out from the fairway, that was after an exasperating stretch of not being able to get the ball in the hole, and it's just like his floor is so wildly high right now that. It's his 9th top 10 in his last 11 majors. Like it's been a freakish run in golf's hardest events. And I felt like he was somehow under talked about coming into this week. And C game finished third and third, 3 shots out of the lead.
I'll pose you another
next topic.
I'll pose you another question, Solly. Is Scotty the new Bowie? Many people are asking.
The bobber. He's the freaking bobber.
Oh, that's
sorry.
No,
sorry, I keep trying to make bobber happen,
that.
but
yeah, no, someone said that to
somebody
me.
was saying.
He's the strike indicator.
I think that's fair. I think John kind of, been a non-factor in the last 2 majors after many people were saying he might win the Grand Slam is at least something worth acknowledging.
He also finished T10 this week.
Backdoor.
It was. But listen, it all, you're just quoted Scotty's, last 11 majors. Like all the shit gets rolled up into those kinds of stats. So I'm reading it into the record.
I mean, the last 2 U.S. Opens, Scotty's been beaten by a total of 3 people. Shout out to Cal Porter's favorite stat. But like that's sick to do that and not win either one of them. Like that's tough. Them's be the breaks sometimes, but that's tough.
Yeah, I just didn't really feel like he was. I didn't feel like he was really a threat though. Like I guess this is total eye test. Like all of what you said, stat related, is like I'm nodding along, and I agree with the high floor thing. And but it was just like all 4 days, I was like, man, he just doesn't have it. Like it's not like I just didn't feel like he was going to turn it on.
That's fair. I felt like there was at some point over 4 days, he was going to turn it on, and it just never fully came through. He needed to go get it more on day 1. That was the day that was obviously out there. He only shot 3 under on day 1, and that was tough. So I don't regret picking him at all. I think it was a solid pick, and Wyndham, I could not have predicted him getting beat by Wyndham, but Rory, I mean, I get it. If you pick Rory, that's a W over Scotty, but Wyndham was kind of a freakish result, I'd say.
I mean, Wyndham's stats for the strokes gained around the green and short game and stuff was just crazy. He really didn't like his approach play wasn't really that great all week.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
It was that good really good off the tee, really good around the greens, really good on the greens. It was a weird little weird way of getting about it. Almost negative strokes gain approach this week, which is weird.
You got a guy that drives it that well and putts it that well. That guy's, to your point, KVV probably going to make a lot of money on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
KVV, any other big takeaways, big observations you had this week?
I don't know. It's hard to not think a little bit about I think one of the things that's most interesting to me about Rory is I think he's clearly trying to go about his business while also still honoring who he wants to be as a person. And I think that, he hinted at this at the PGA where he said, I don't really want to be that person that I was in 2014 because that getting into that sort of headspace was sort of exhausting and I didn't really like who I was. And so I think he feels deep down like he can win majors, still kind of being the kind of gregarious, open-hearted person that he is. And I think we're so close to that being validated this week, but I also still wonder, is that the way that he's going to win major championships? And I don't know. I mean, personally, for my sake, I love it when he chats people up, and when he'll say hello and invite us along to practice rounds. But I wonder, if maybe sometimes he should just kind of push everyone away for a little while and say, I'm going to, maybe that puts him in a bad headspace. We used to talk about this with DJ. I remember thinking DJ needs a better caddy. And you guys pushed back and said, no, that might be the perfect caddy for him because he needs someone who's going to make him feel comfortable. And I think that's a good thing to think about with Rory. Is like maybe this point in his life, like, I don't know.
I honestly feel like, man, it's just at this point, it's the weight of that blanket just gets heavier each major that goes by, right? It's just like, dude, how can it have been this long? Well, now how can it have been this long? Like I've played some pretty freaking good golf in majors for quite some time. I've had, great runs near the end. I've had great chances and had bad runs near the end. How long can this happen? And then just, again, I go back to like, the more this happens, the more he's just going to think about it. And the pressure just continues to mount, and the Sundays just tend to look like that when he's really close. And that moment when you're waiting for that putt to go in, just like never seems to come. And
I think to that point too, like, I know this wasn't his week necessarily, but like if Brooks wins, Brooke, it's now 5-4. It's worth shouting out at every turn, right? Is like we've always talked about Rory as being the guy because he had 4 and nobody else did. And now Brooks has 5. And if Brooks gets to 6, it gets even louder. If Brooks gets to 7, it gets even louder, right? And that, I don't know, it feels pretty possible to me.
it should be really loud for Liverpool. I mean, his last 6-7 majors. I mean, he missed the cut this year at the Masters, obviously, which was, he shortly withdrew from the Heritage week after that, and it just seemed like he was totally exhausted by that point. But second at the Masters last year, 8th PGA, T5 U.S. Open, 3rd in the Open Championship, that MC at the Masters this year, T7 at PGA, and solo second this year at the U.S. Open. Like, that's pretty.
Yeah, we've got that. We got Quail Hollow next year. We've got Valhalla. We got Valhalla next year. We got Quail Hollow the year after. Like, some comfy places for Rory coming up. So
would agree with that. So, Kevin, we're going to send you on your way. Now you got to get to some writing, but we appreciate all of your insights and your traveling and being away from your daughters on Father's Day, and all you've done to provide for all of us this past week at the U.S. Open, and all your insights and all that. So if people can find your writing at nolayingup.com. He's been sending out the dispatches hard and fast this week, and we want to shout you out for an awesome week, and we thank you for it.
Thanks, guys. We got a lot of people in the stands were sort of giving shout outs to NLU this week. It was pretty awesome to hear. I feel like, the writing thing is starting to have a little love, and we're starting to get people who are reading it regularly, and I appreciate that. And
that's just TC's members up there. That's his
best fans in golf, baby.
Yeah. And I definitely thanks for mentioning my girls and Father's Day and stuff, because I was missing them pretty hard today. I'm excited to get home to them and play some golf with them. So.
I would also recommend no free ads, but go read KVV's Golfers Journal piece. I retweeted it. I don't know if you tweeted it as well. I think Golfers Journal tweeted it out today, but kind of a Father's Day golf read that just is one of my favorite things in golf. So go read that too.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Kevin. I just saw this. Andy just tweeted this. The 6 events ago, Wyndham Clark was playing in an opposite field event, and now he's 13th ranked player in the world.
It's crazy.
Wow. Is that true? Like, that is freakish, man.
The guys, going back to the Rory thing, I don't want to belabor Rory or anything like that. And I know we've talked about it prior, but like the caddy thing, like, does he need a second set of eyes on a putt that he's not? And like, because he's not even calling Harry in for some of these, right?
I was thinking about that today. I wish I had a better understanding, and I just need to get to more tournaments and like actually watch it. And it would have been a good thing to ask KVV while he was here, but I don't know how much they're interacting during, like, I was thinking about that with some of the shots he was hitting and some of the clubs he's pulling and places he's, playing to and sides of the greens and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how much they're, Solly, do you have a feel for that just by watching? Like, how much are they actually going back and forth, and how much is it him kind of doing his thing?
The last I talked to him was truly when he went with Harry. I remember talking to him about this in 2017, like Harry's first or second event on the bag at Firestone in Akron. That was summer of 17. And he had said he got lazy with JP, and he said he had someone to place some justified blame on, right? He would fall back.
He had
on
a pain sponge.
He would fall back basically on, like, he's like, hey, now with Harry on the bag, I'm going to get my own yardages. I'm going to do my own reads. Like, it's all on me. I need it to all be on me. I need to take ownership in it. I need to be more invested in the shots. I need to be a part of the process instead of showing up at my ball and knowing the numbers and like asking what I should hit. Like, that's all on me now. That was 6 years ago now. I don't know how that relationship has evolved.
Kev is still in here, and he just fired into our chat. Sorry, Cody. I was double clicking.
Like, all right, and like
Yeah.
I'm not asking this to like be a dick to Harry. I like who knows if Harry Harry, for all I know, could be a great caddy, and Rory's just not using him, and Rory needs to be capable or totally committed to all these shots or whatever. But just looking at variables, especially when it comes to putting and reading greens and all that, like let's look at all the variables here, right?
Yeah, I would say Rory only reads his own putts. He and Harry definitely have some discussion about yardage. They have a few laughs every now and then when something kind of. I mean, I think it was on, the one that's 5 when Rory almost made that long one from just off the green. They had a good laugh and were sort of chatting about it, but they don't have a lot of convo. I don't know whether that's good or bad, but it wouldn't surprise me like if the thought has entered his mind of like, all right, do I need a different set of eyes on this? I mean, with the putting like this, I don't know how you wouldn't sort of ask yourself that question. Like maybe someone else should help, give me a read here and there.
And that's again, like every time we have this conversation, that's not that, as TC is saying as well. It's like that's not on Harry, right? I think Harry's providing like a very specific thing of like Rory's probably at a comfort level when he has his buddy out there on the bag and going about it. And I think it's fair to point that question towards Rory to be like, are you getting everything is it convenient for you to have like one of your friends on the bag who is you have 6 years of PGA Tour experience, you win FedEx Cups, you won a lot of tournaments together. Like
he's a good player.
He's a really good player. It's not his capabilities at all as a caddy. That's never been what it is. It's like, are you utilizing the caddy role to the best of your total ability? Like I'd flip it around to be like Scotty and Ted right now. It looks like Scotty's leaning too hard on Ted on the greens to like figure out the reads for him, and they are not really on the same page with all that, or there's not that ownership and responsibility and trust in the read when you go get over it. I can see that go the opposite way in another way, but yeah, at this many attempts, is that it's a fair question to ask that none of us can really know the answer to.
There was definitely a few times today when I was standing close to him on a tee where I wanted to sort of lean over and be like, "Hey, you're Rory fucking McIlroy," but I felt that would squash whatever journalistic integrity that I have left. That would not be a good thing. So I kept that. I do my best to not make eye contact with him out there. I feel like that was breaking the fourth wall and not. If you wanted to talk succession out there, maybe, but no.
There's another piece to this. If I was to put myself in, it's hard to say put myself in Rory's shoes, but I gotta think he's like, man, I want to see it through with Harry. Is that the right mindset? No, but like, I'm sure he wants to win it with Harry. Like I'm guessing that's like important to him. It would be important to me if my best friend was on the bag and I felt like it was, like I'm putting it on me, like I'm not asking him to do these things, then I feel like that's a factor. Should he be like, would I like to see him experiment with another caddy? Yeah, I probably would. But I can see how there would be just a little bit of like, I want to do it my way. I want to do it with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's if you so long, Kevin. Thank you for chiming back in there. But I think if you go all the way back 6 years, we weren't doing regular podcasts at that time. But we'd probably be like, "Hey, man, it's a pretty long-term commitment here because it's gonna be really hard to change off of your best friend, right? It's gonna be harder to fire your best friend than it would be, anyone else that is just a regular caddy of some sorts." But
I had to fire some of my analysts from the Vision Fund.
No, it's not, and it's not. Again, it's Rory's. This is Rory's problem. This is not Harry's problem. But I do think about like if I ask like, do I think Bones could help Rory? I probably
save
think
him
so.
one shot this week and he's in a playoff,
or just make it be I don't know, more of a team. Like you see the way Wyndham's working with his caddy, like they have it going on, man. Like
they might have it going on too much.
No, I know you don't like them lining them up, but I'm talking more about like when the limited caddy player convo that they did catch between those two. It was very collaborative, and I was like jacked up about it. I was like, man, God, I love working with a caddy like that. That is like my dream.
I go back to Brooks at the PGA too. Said the same thing about him and Ricky Elliott. Was just like, God, what a that is a true duo out there.
But it's also to say, like, man, does Rory feel like he can channel the Rory F and McIlroy more, just kind of out there doing it on his own? Then maybe
hard to say.
That's an impossible question for us sitting here to answer, right?
Yeah.
And
it's fun to talk about, though.
Super fun to talk about. What's next? TC, you want to go further down the leaderboard here? Let him cook.
I thought you would never ask, Solly. Thank you so much. Cam, I think I just got to shout out Cam again. Like, it's so fun to watch him putt.
Good to see him playing good golf and being quite
Yeah.
competitive. That was kind of missing from the first couple of majors.
67 today. I mean, 71 yesterday kind of held him back a little bit, but definitely some good things there. He should be a threat at Hoylake, I think. I think Hoylake's going to be great. I think it's going to be kind of a canvas of like, you know, there's the new par 3 there towards the end. I think 16 or 17 there. And then there's the, you know, there's a couple of those holes by the seaside, but otherwise it's going to be like, it's going to be all about the players, right? It's going to be all about like, this is the canvas play. It's, you know, it's about the players, not the course.
Careful with your hole numbers because I think they do flip. Because don't they? I don't know if they're doing the same thing they did last time, but they send players off the 17th hole, play 17, 18, and so it might be like 14. That's the par 3.
Okay.
I don't know. It's confusing. It's because they don't like that the first hole the first hole there is a in-course OB
So
all the way
sick.
to the right.
I love it.
So sick. But they don't want people to have that be their first hole, so they play 17 and 18, then flip over to 1, which makes that hole 3, and it's super confusing how it all works. But I don't know if they're doing that.
You know, Tommy, I don't have to say a whole lot about his T5. It was Finno texted me. He said it could have been a 59. It was that good. Like it was, and like everybody's talking about the putt on 18. The putt on 17 was awesome.
That was really good par save.
That was great.
I mean, he eagled. He almost aced 6.
And the putt on 18 was really bad. And I haven't heard you say that yet.
Ben Cauley said, yeah, it was terrible. Ben Cauley said it was possibly the 3 best 3-woods in succession ever hit in the history of golf.
But not this week. Not the best succession.
He almost aced 11 too.
That was sweet.
That was crazy. 6.
Like he was, it was like exceptional shot at a 14.
Did he hit it to 5 feet on 6? Did I see that right?
Yes.
Are we going to work down the leaderboard here, or are we just going to stay with Tommy?
All right, Minwoo, you guys want to talk about the
unstable compound?
The irascible compound, the unstable compound.
Some reports that I think he found some argon out there and just kind of, you know, stabilized it out a little bit.
Very collider.
Very noble bounce back from
smashing it.
He got Rick by 8 today to get into a tie for 5th with him. That's tough from our boy, the Rick Tater.
Guys, he's trying to mine the moon. Trying to
hey guys, I would like to congratulate you on young Tom Kim.
Yes, apology.
No, absolutely not.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know, very, very cool that the savior of the PGA Tour decided to show up.
Can we what's the timeline on when we can have the conversation on him being a fraud now that he has a top 10 in the US Open? Does that push the timeline out a little bit?
Again, it's not a top 5, so you know,
here's what I need from you, Sally, is I don't PC, this is I'm going to straddle the line here a little bit. I don't think he's a fraud. I don't think I can totally reach across the aisle.
But he was overhyped.
Shake my guy's hand on that one. But Solly, I do need you to project here. Like, what are we're projecting, and we're saying like, yeah, I think he's going to be great, man. Like Ryan Moore, hell of a tour player, man.
It's not like what the data says. It's like, what do you think?
What do you think? Where are we going? Because if we're going to like, yeah, he's like going to win 7 PGA Tour events and like maybe threaten for a couple majors, like that, awesome. Like that's fine.
I was going to say 8.
I'm not getting up in the morning for that though. Like I need to I need to know what we're talking about.
It's a false prophet. I mean, we're talking like, you know, people telling me he's the kid. I don't think this is it. I think it's a John the Baptist situation.
Why I just wonder why we can't get excited about somebody under the age of 21 winning twice on the PGA Tour.
So cool. Unbelievable.
We can get excited about
where are we headed? Where are we headed?
I would say 8 PGA Tour wins. I think that's where I would think.
A major? No, because nothing matters except for the majors.
Yeah. We don't even know what the PGA Tour is going to look like.
Yeah. That's true. I would say 4 live wins and 4 PGA Tour wins for
4 team wins,
4 Nuco wins.
So that seems pretty tepid, if I'm being honest.
And that's where I'm coming from. Maybe
this is the part where you guys always get overhyped on how many wins.
You're not even willing to predict one major for the guy. Like really fucking convincing there, man.
You called him a fraud. That's what I had an issue with. I
called him a fraud.
Hard
in relation to the hype.
All right, I'll say
the hype
major.
train was out of control.
Tom Kim wins a major in his career.
Oh, you should have said that.
Okay.
Now it's gonna hang. It's just an albatross around your neck.
All right, we got him.
Under half major for Tom Kim. Are you all taking under?
Ladies and gentlemen, we got.
I'm taking an under. Yes.
Yeah, I'm taking under.
Hey, let's do this. Okay. I was playing golf with somebody this weekend, and they had a lifetime bet I forget who the two players were. Oh, I think it was Corey Connors versus Patrick Cantlay. Like this guy, TC, you would have loved it. This guy I played golf with fucking hated Patrick Cantlay. Barely said anything. Like the whole round was very
Sounds like I need to play
guy,
golf with this
except for like someone would talk about money or the PJ Tour or whatever. And just like, man, I hope fucking Cantlay doesn't get any of that. Guy doesn't deserve anything. It was awesome. But they had a lifelong bet that just kept it spicy for every major going forward. Just Connors versus Cantlay head to head. So if you want Tom Kim, like if you're saying one major, I'm saying 0 for life. And
I'll
so
do Ludwig versus Tom Kim if you want that action. Solly.
Oh God.
So
I think that's a pretty good matchup there, Solly.
how are you saying Tom Kim is potentially a fraud and your guy that's going to save the PGA Tour
because
is the comp you want to bet?
Because you've been shitting on Ludwig about his age. You've been calling him old.
He is old.
He's got to do it quick.
But I
he doesn't have that many years left.
Solly, I feel like you've ridden for young Tom and TC's ridden for Ludwig. It feels like maybe a lifelong.
No, I'm not going to let this happen because TC has ruined too many guys that I like just because
he doesn't
hype.
like this smoke.
I love Ludwig. I'm really excited about it, but I don't like seeing TC Crow.
We love you.
Why don't you guys join me on this? Right?
You got to do better than that.
This is the worst. Listening to TC Crow is the worst. I find myself somehow rooting against Tommy sometimes because I know what a slack's going to look like.
You have hate in your heart, Solly.
I do. No, I'm not. That's
Can I keep
you should
going
be
on a
ashamed
leaderboard?
All right,
by
let's.
that TC.
I'm gonna work on you both separately to get this lifelong bet going.
Let's just get this on the record. Solly's taking 1
I'm gonna bring
on
you
Tom
to the table.
Kim.
That's right.
Solly's taking 1 on Tom Kim. I'm taking 0. Where are you guys at?
I'm at 0. I'm the only thing is, the only thing I could see him winning is maybe a PGA Championship.
He wins a Players
or an Open. I could see him winning an Open,
but I don't think
Players.
I'm gonna go under.
And if the Players becomes a major, it doesn't count.
Correct.
I'm getting ahead of that now.
Yeah, correct.
It's fine.
TC, are you on 0 or 1?
It's a push if he wins the Players.
Okay.
That's a half major.
No.
Based on last night, we said that. That's a half major. That's perfect.
A push is fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
I just said he's going to win a Players. It doesn't count.
That's a push then. That's great.
All right.
So your bet's on push. That's good.
All right. Min Woo shot 67 today. Granted, he shot 74 yesterday, but I think some apologies are in order there.
We literally just covered Minwoo. We're already at top.
Let's stop.
I don't think that's going to be
HE.
HE.
Tough start. The lady, one of the best fans in golf, picking up his ball. Can you imagine going out to a golf tournament and seeing a golf ball? And people are like, oh, well, like maybe it's her first golf tournament and she didn't know. Like, yeah, then find better friends.
Well, to be fair, he hit it over into the fucking heavy hors d'oeuvres.
The shallows
over there.
But you have to think the condiments.
Yeah.
You have to think that's what HE wanted out of all of this was just to hang out in the hospitality and meet some C-suite folks.
He wanted a seat at the table.
I gotta give him credit though. I mean, he had some really bad golf shots today, and he just always kind of has that I don't want to call it a dumb look, but it's just like a
little aloof.
And he makes room. He makes room for wow.
He does
in a big way when he's just not hitting it well.
TC
Guys,
Austin.
I
gotta must credit TC.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
That was one of the 65 names he said in the preview pod, and I can't believe that he finished
65. Shot 29 on the front. Exceptional round of golf. He's playing really, really, really well right now. Putter cooperated this week. Chipped his butt off. Good stuff there. Yeah, Rahm 65. Xander is exactly who we thought he was. I predicted.
I want to apologize for thinking that this was going to end different this week. I was kind of floating some stuff on Thursday that maybe this was going to stick around. His U.S. Open record remains pretty impeccable as far as clerically, anyways, on paper. But I'll offer a tepid apology for that.
We might have to I got to think on this a little bit more, but might have to reframe what some of these finishes mean. Like somebody like Xander and like DJ and Rahm are so freaking good that a U.S. Open is naturally going to put them around T10.
It almost becomes like a tennis thing where it's if you hang around at the U.S. Open long enough, of course these guys are going to finish 10.
Exactly. Like if they play 90 more holes, I have a feeling Rahm's going to be third, right?
But their fitness level is higher. Or their floors. Yeah. I'm with you.
So that I don't know I haven't fully fleshed that out, but I think it's just different than,
we might need to get a panel together, TC. See which one of these top 10s.
Well, I think Xander at this point, with the shirt today, that was one of the worst shirts I've ever seen. especially when paired with those pants. Like you can't match those with the blue pants.
Can we shout out Xander for literally shooting the U.S. Open record in round 1 and not breaking par in any of the other 3 rounds? Like that's tough.
He was 8 under after 18 holes and he finished -3.
That's wild.
Wild.
He seems to get stuck between like real like I'm listening to like pregame rap, drinking NO Explode, like I'm gonna go and fucking ball out, and then getting like kind of mopey, like because I've been there, not with the NO Explode on the golf course, but I've been there with like I'm gonna be super like
NO Explode.
focused. Like it's like I'm gonna be super focused today. I'm gonna be intense, and then it just goes wrong when you
Xander's feet are cramping up because he's taking too much creatine.
He's taking too much Jack 3D.
What the fuck?
I mean, so I like Xander could go to the Cleeks tomorrow and like I'm good, man. Like Xander goes to the Cleeks and Cantlay goes to the Majestics and infuses them with some new blood. I'm good.
Or Harris English goes to the Majestics. Could be a better fit.
AG, call him by his proper name.
DJ, I feel like DJ like could have won this golf tournament.
I feel the same way. It didn't look like he made a fucking thing. I don't know what the numbers say, but it felt like every time they flashed to him, they didn't show him hitting enough golf shots. Yeah, he was 52nd in putting this week, lost strokes on the green. Like if he putts decent, he is very much in the hunt for this. Also, he made a freaking quad. I think he played the second hole like 6 over for the week and finished 7 shots back. Like that's tough.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got.
Can I shout out Morikawa?
He battled. He definitely battled.
He was on the wrong side of the cut line there for a little bit, or was really grinding to get inside the cut line. Played really well to finish on Friday and finished overall T14.
Can I shout out the boys? Our custom parlay hit. If you
guys
know, Victor top 20, Ricky top 30, and Lee Harvey Oswald top 40. I mean, Victor kind of made us sweat for a little bit, but otherwise we were kind of in the go zone there with the Rick Tater and Lee Harvey. It's good stuff.
Bryson doubled 17, and it was like a betting sweepstakes. He brought so many guys back into like the top 20. He brought like 6 or 7 guys: Shane Lowry, Keith Mitchell, Nick Hardy, Jordan Smith. It was crazy. So
tough look for Randy's Shane Lowry bet this week.
Hovland, I thought played well. Like just didn't necessarily have his A game, but contended or didn't contend, but like solid. Not what I was looking for today out of Ryutaro Nagano.
It's tough. 5 over today.
Yeah.
Is it Nagano or Nagano?
They were calling him Nagano, but I think NBC is just
like
obsessed with the Olympics. Yeah.
just have it.
Denny McCarthy, good week, T20. Denny McCarthy, Keith Mitchell, kind of like, trying to punch above the mule ceiling, right? Trying to get above that. I think they're getting there. I want to shout out Bryson. Bryson had some things to say about the golf course that were pretty positive, actually, and pretty reasonable and logical and a lot more thoughtful, I thought, than say what Matt Fitzpatrick and Hovland and Koepka had to say. And shout out to Bryson.
I'm going to push back a little bit, not on the Bryson stuff, but I didn't think that like Brooks's comments were unfair at all. Like balls funneling to the same spot all over the course. Like I think that's very fair criticism of this golf course. There were several spots.
It's like
3 was one, but like I think you're getting that on 8 is happening. You're getting that on 18. Like there's some spots where it's just like 18. Everybody's going to end up in the same spot.
18's like the flattest fairway on the
down to the right, where if there's certain collection areas that like make a good shot and a bad shot.
But then Brooks somehow loves Aaron Hills, and it's like, hey man, like Aaron Hills has some of the same shit going on.
Yeah. Did anybody ever ask him if he liked Aaron Hills though? He might have just won the golf tournament there.
He did. The quotes were literally like, then Coley posted them and said like, yeah, I like this play. He basically, said the exact same thing.
To be fair, you could play some of the quotes from this show from this week, and they'd probably be a direct opposition to a lot of stuff we said tonight. So I'm not going to hold him against that.
Let's see here. Other stuff. Jordan Smith.
Also, just want to say we're grading Bryson on a curve at this point. It's really against himself.
It's like a total poop in the potty.
I'm just, but I want to hold on. I want to go back though. Briefly, I'm cool with the players being critical of the course. If they disagree and they don't like blind shots and stuff, like they should be able to say that and not be like, that's stupid. Like that they're not like, in the woke architecture school.
No, if you don't like blind shots, like you can get the fuck out. Like,
I think if it gets to a point where it's like unfair or the shots or holes don't have like good architectural intent and shot value, I agree. But I did not feel a lot of that this week. Aside from if you want to talk about the balls funneling into 3 and whatever on 8, like those were not great shots for professionals. But 2 of the tee shots being a little bit funky and funneling in the same place does not change the fact that it just took really, really good golf shots over 4 days. And there was nothing unfair about any of it. There was nothing that got too firm, nothing that got silly. And so I don't know if I accept the critiques as much. We've seen this at US Opens for the last however many years. Whenever they go to a new venue, guys bitch, right?
Yeah.
Chambers Bay, maybe there was some good reason to bitch about the green quality, but like that's obviously a very good golf course that ended up being a very interesting major championship. Erin Hills, they didn't get the conditions they want, but everyone just laid waste. Like as soon as they go somewhere new, guys just will go out of their way to lay waste on something.
You know what? It's funny to me. All the people that are the Belle Reeve stands, the Belle Reeve and the Torrey Pine stands, that are like, you know what? Look at this leaderboard. Like what a great golf course that could produce this leaderboard. Where are all those people?
It's like happens literally like every U.S. Open.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
Also, Wyndham Clark won. They might have little.
That's true. I think Bryson's on the verge of playing some decent golf, like some very good golf. Like I could see Bryson contending at Hoylake.
Yep. I totally agree.
Yeah. Let's see here. Sahith was expecting more out of him. T27. Justin Suh kind of went backwards on the weekend.
Shout out to Sergio. Went through qualifying. Didn't have to do that,
Like Gooch,
pouted.
Things of that nature. Yeah. What else we got? Yeah, Wako, expected more out of him this weekend. Decky kind of faded today, 75. Sam Bennett came back today for 71. I'll shout that out. Even though
Gordon Sargent, we haven't talked about his putt on 18 that popped back out of the cup. That was a tough look.
Insane.
Apparently the guys in the group ahead or whatever, when they pulled the pin out, it pulled the cup liner up, and he just got totally Joe Daly'd, which was
that's
really
classless.
Important. Yeah. I have no idea how we get to David Puig from what looks like Puig.
Puig. Yeah. Puig daddy.
Yeah. I don't know how we get to that from Puig is what I was ready to say there. But apparently that's how you say it, which has been news to me this week.
Interesting.
So, can I wrap
Billy
you there,
Horschel?
TC? We're T43.
Yeah, I mean Billy Horschel. I want to shout him out again, making the cut, playing adequately well in the U.S. Open. Weeks after that, I thought was big time. And then otherwise, Solomon shot 74 today.
better than Solomon shot 88. Let's get to our Yeti coldest moment of the week. The Rambler 18-ounce bottle is your must-have cold holding drinking vessel that should be immediately added to your bag. This tough bottle is double wall vacuum insulated to keep your water ice cold until the last sip. Dishwasher safe for easy cleaning. Comes standard with the chug cap lid. The shatter-resistant drinking spout that allows for easy pulls on the go. This is not part of the copy because I don't know if he's officially sponsored by them, but I did appreciate the emotional support, Yeti, that Ricky was insistent on carrying around. Could have used a little more of that today, but I'm going to go to you first, TC. What is your Yeti coldest moment of the week?
Yeah. Listen, I would say it was probably Sergio, saying this place should be
just need one.
Should be bombed or whatever. No, I'm kidding. Sergio didn't say that. It was get this off the screen. All right. It was Wyndham Clark's drive on 18. Like that made me shiver. It made me feel so cold inside. I felt like the game had died a little bit, that ball didn't spin off.
Probably in true Yeti fashion made you feel hot inside too. It kind of goes both ways.
Yeah. It was it was more of like a thermos.
Yeah.
That was just egregious. Just so upsetting. So
Pie Man, what's your coldest moment of the week?
You know what? I had I was gonna go, a lot of ways we could go. I was gonna reach across the aisle, extend an olive branch to Fleetwood shooting 63 in the final round. I was gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about that. Instead, I'm gonna go with this random, for whatever reason. I checked my DMs on Twitter right before we went on here, and there's a guy named Ken Fowler who has sent me a couple DMs that I had just seen. One was he was talking about unstable compounds and sent me a photo of the Branch Davidians compound, which was
Oh,
pretty
God.
pretty cold. But then this next one that he sent me today said, quote, my 9-year-old just told me this, quote, after the Slime Cup, he just hasn't been good about JT. Which I thought was an unbelievable quote.
Who won
from,
the Slime Cup?
I think JT did.
Don't
But
spoil it. It's still on my DVR.
It's always waiting until his daughter's gonna be like 4 to watch the Slime Cup.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm gonna give that to Ken Fowler's daughter and on the quote about JT in the Slime Cup.
Yeah, he just hasn't been a good ball striker.
Yeah,
since
it's
the
just
Slime
not,
Cup.
it's ball striking's fallen off since the Slime Cup.
Neil, you weren't scheduled to be on the show tonight.
Yeah, I
Do
got
you
one.
have one? Okay.
It's Wyndham Clark's 3-wood into the 14th hole, mainly because I've been in this like exact position, down on my knees, begging for the ball, like please, 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 please. And it was just very cold of him to hit it into like a 10-yard wide entrance to that green, a perfect shot after he waited 10 minutes to hit it. Whereas, you know, this scene that we're looking at is the ball going out of bounds for me. So I thought that was just cold-blooded for me to see that, for him to be praying for it to be a perfect shot. But that moment is like, that's where he won the golf tournament. So for me, that was the coldest moment of the week.
Solly, what about you?
Mine, I was hesitant to go with this one because I knew we would cover this earlier in the show. And we, of course, have already touched on this a little bit. But the coldest moment today was by far TC tweeting out earlier that the Cantlay was going to have a stolen valor yellow Wikipedia square on his result this week before Tommy Fleetwood went out and shot 63 to get that.
I think this was yesterday, wasn't it?
Gross yellow,
even better,
gross yellow square that he gets on his Wikipedia page.
Top 5, baby.
For backdooring the pressure-free.
Should get orange for a top 5
on the soft golf course that he got to play this morning. So that was so cold, TC. I love that. I was really fun. So.
Guys, I think some of the hospitality from LACC towards just the world of golf, trying to buy up all of the tickets, that could be the coldest moment of the week too.
Could be the coldest moment of the year in golf.
Do you guys? I mean,
like I don't even begrudge LACC for doing it. Whatever, like USGA, like don't accede to that stuff.
Oh, look, TC's trying to protect his invite back here. That's exactly what you're doing.
I'm good.
It's tough though. Like if I'm Juan and Co. Like. Yeah, I guess you know this. Yeah, when you take over the deal, but like this wasn't your decision to do this, and you have to own all the.
But they're talking to him about 2039 right now.
It's on their website. Like, is it announced official? I saw some tweets today that like you don't sign the contract officially until 5 years out from the date. So
I think the club has already voted on it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I know it's listed on the USGA site as it's going. The US Open's going in 2039 to LACC, and it's like, I think some things would. I don't know. I'm of two minds of this. Like, there's enough there to say this shouldn't happen again, mostly from a vibe perspective and a lot of things we've covered, but also to say, like, do they learn lessons out of this experience and address them in 16 years? And also, I would say there's very little chance that the golf ball and technology goes the same distance 16 years from now as it goes right now. And like, we haven't really talked about that probably enough this week. I don't know what more evidence you needed than Rory on a 590-yard par 5 hitting 8 and 9 irons in over the weekend to just be like, we might have an issue here, guys. And it's really on display on a golf course like this. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to Marion before it goes back to LACC. Like, we know the golf ball's changing, or something in equipment's going to change between now and then.
Plus, we may be watching it in the metaverse.
I was going to say, pro golf might not exist either. You know, we got to.
Yeah, or like we'll be watching it with VR and all sorts of stuff. We don't need NBC.
Yeah, those Apple goggles, whatever those are. Neil, I need a debrief on those from your tech buddies.
For people that don't have it in front of them, future U.S. Open venues. Next year we go to Pinehurst, then we go to Oakmont, and then Shinnecock in 26, Pebble in 27, back to Winged Foot in 28. 29 is open Pinehurst back in 29. So that's 5 years between Pinehurst U.S. Opens. And then 2030 and 2050 is Marion. And then 2031 is
50.
Basically, I mean, we can report this news now, right? Like, it's going to Riviera. Like, that is that's the worst kept secret maybe in golf.
I mean, at some point, like, when's it going back to Brookline? I felt like that was a rousing success.
I thought it was good. I thought it was fine. I still think, like, especially after this week, I feel like we need to be prioritizing venues you can get a lot more people in. And Brookline had an attendance number issue as well. Had a better vibe.
Yeah, but they showed up, man.
They did, but like literally number wise was like that was a concern last year. They had some
40,000 versus 50,000 or 30,000. Like this was like
it was
20% of what the normal was.
Get a lot of people at Erin Hills. A lot of space out there.
Yeah.
We'll see about that.
I don't know if it's happening, but
Brookline was 30,000 on the weekend last year, and this LACC was 23,000. Did a quick like Oakmont basically can host up to 50,000 fans a day. So like I think that's a really fair take if you are a fan of the U.S. Open to be like, hey, like it's got to go to these big ass venues that can host more people. Like the vibe is important. It really is. Like there should have been a raucous roar when Wyndham hit that shot into 14. Like that, it just is a thing that definitely translates to TV. And then 32, I don't think is announced, and we don't need to go this far. But then 33 goes back to Oakmont, and
you're going down
32 goes to Boston then for sure.
Hey, was there some running that was supposed to happen?
There was.
The end of the show. That's how we're ending the show.
Hey, real quick, I do want to shout out the USGA for. I think they're getting. I don't know. I like where they're headed overall. I think there's a big mess to clean up after the Mike Davis and the Craig Annis eras, and I think that there's some. I don't know. I think they've done a really good job from a calm standpoint overall. Like personally speaking, as someone who like does stuff on social, I really appreciate that they bring out really good photographers like Jeff Marsh and Matt Hahn and those guys, and like let them do their work. The stills on their Instagram are out of this world. They're awesome.
And they let us and all media types show up and do whatever you want in the first couple of days.
And the media, just like everything is just like met with a smile and met with like, hey, how can we help you tell the story of our tournament? And it's appreciated. And, I think there's like logistics stuff and all that that's probably with a far different team and probably, not even related to any of this. But I do think just from a, like I've noticed a big sea change with the USGA over the last 2 or 3 years overall. So I just want to say thank you to them.
Yeah. It's freaking fun to go out, even just for practice rounds and go hang out and explore the golf courses. And I had a great time earlier this week and can't wait for Pinehurst next year. And can't wait I won't be able to go to US Women's Open, but a bunch of us are going to be going to Pebble Beach for the US Women's Open, which is going to be extremely highly anticipated. And they've helped a ton with, we'll have YouTube videos up and
God, that's gonna be a good video.
Really good video.
We got the hay in the barn. I think we could talk about what that video is. We've got for people love the big guy. That's no secret. People love Big Randy. What if I told you we're watching every shot of Big Randy playing Pebble Beach coming soon to the YouTube channel
in 30-mile-an-hour winds. The front nine with Michelle Wee as well.
I should mention Michelle Wee also plays in the front nine too.
Which is the back nine. Actually, we started on 10. But any Amsterdams we want to close the book on for the week?
Will you guys get as fired up as me? I mean, it's brutal.
I already got my shots in.
I'm beating down TC.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Maybe we can roll in the audio from last year here, save everybody some time.
It is bad and depraved, and I'm with you. But but then like they do, they give you they give the hostage a water bottle at the end with the Rolex hour-long commercial free. I don't think they do a lot with the commercial free part, but it does help a lot. I mean, it's really that simple. It's like, oh man, I'm really enjoying watching the golf now. What changed? I haven't been interrupted and beat over the head with Ramon Salas and fucking, how important it is to connect and fucking house ads. Yes, it's tough. And USGA deserves a little bit of heat for that too. They're beating me over the head with a bunch of USGA bullshit that I've heard, and I'm probably not the person you need to be telling that to early in the week.
It doesn't really make you want to rep the tag, Neil.
It doesn't at all. It doesn't.
I will say the only thing I'll say is I had the ass sweat going for those final few holes. Like they delivered on the very end.
Yeah,
it was, which is like the bare minimum of what like their biggest.
They showed the golf.
Do. They did. They did at the end. It's like a begrudging. You do got to hand it to them.
So
but like it was really tough. And if you're a casual that like only tunes in towards the ends of the rounds, you're probably not feeling the same pain that we felt like watching so much golf this week. But if you are like a diehard and you're a media person that like tries to cover this tournament, it's really, really hard.
TC, I'll tee off on a couple things for you. One, playing through is, shoved onto us as some type of innovation. Now it's just become another way that they can. I think it's more abrasive than just a commercial break. I actually hate it because I just hate it. It almost like stresses me out. It's a sensory blitzkrieg, and I don't like it at all. And they use it a lot as an excuse not to like replace a commercial break, but to play more commercials. So that bothers me.
And when you're watching it on Premium Cock, it doesn't even show playing through.
Yeah. What I would really like to see is, it's almost like they're, and I would love to know the economics of this, but they sometimes like Deloitte or somebody will show up on the leaderboard, or like the Amex exclusive cam on 15. I feel like they toss those into these deals, like just like, oh yeah, hey, like a little kicker to sign the deal. I think that they could do a ton of heavy lifting with scoreboard sponsorships and on-screen stuff, and not be like, it would be better for the company and for the viewer if there was just more like, yo, just show me the fucking logo. I don't need to see Ramon Salas and how important it is to connect 100 times. Like, you're not even showing me new commercials. You're actually doing, it's a detriment to the brand. Like it's a bad model overall with the breaks.
And I'll stop. Like everything's always just going to be an add-on. Like exactly what you said is their idea to do that. They're going to do that, and then also
just add it on. And that's what's so. It's like I think they need to sit down and have a conversation. And I think there has to be some CMOs that are like, yo, this is bad. Like if I was a CEO of one of these companies, I would be annoyed with my own fucking commercials. Like if I was the Workday CEO, I'd be embarrassed for the Rockstar shit.
Rockstar?
Like it's a joke. It's like, yo, you greenlit that? Like, who's my CMO? Like, let's do something a little bit less abrasive.
The only thing,
and a little more subtle. Like everybody knows you're sponsoring the golf tournament. Like, can we get less intrusive? Yes, I know I'm preaching to the choir, and this is not going to happen. But I just think that those scoreboard sponsorships and getting more like, stuff that slides in on the screen as an overlay is going to accomplish 80% of what you need to. And you don't have to hit me with this playing through bullshit. So that's a complaint.
Just sponsoring a hole, like have each corporate partner just
paint the fairways. I don't give a fuck. Like I really don't.
Just stick with the golf for a while. That's all. And then on the flip side, like I said earlier, I thought NBC last hour was good, riveting,
satisfactory
TV. And I thought they had some good graphics on 6 and 8. And I thought the broadcast team did a good job showing me those holes and why they're unique. They could have been better with other holes, but that was pretty good. I thought the encores, both Smiley and Noda, were good. So those would be my positives.
I think the whole production is just stale. They've tried to add in some talent. I miss Roger and Gary a little bit. The camera angles stink. I am worried that Tommy Roy is completely washed, and that sucks because he's a legend of the game and of TV production. And like they had a drone out there. I don't think we realized until 18. You know what I mean? Like they're just
they busted out on 13 when there's no. The first thing they showed was 13 on a drone, which had no fans around it. Like
they got all these holes with no trackers on, with no shot tracer on them. It's devoid of any sort of inventiveness or soul or evolution.
I am excited to watch.
Gentlemen,
very excited to watch Hump Day though on NBC. I will tell you guys.
And the Big D.
Honestly, based on a true story, kind of looked like a cool show. Like I might check that one out. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like,
what is it?
Stockholm syndrome.
It's
tuned out.
It's like basically it's like a show about a Myrtle podcast.
Come on.
I mean, it kind of looks fun.
Listen, I got waterboarded by the Big
Ten. That look fun. We're not doing this. Come on.
Big Ten Saturday Night Football, which looks admittedly awful.
There were so many commercials Thursday, Friday that the YouTube TV, like I think when they bring the local network ads in, you get the Zen videos. I've never seen the Zen videos last that long. Yeah. They were going on for like 30, 45 seconds. It was just like a flowing brook, a stream. I was like, this is not a good sign that YouTube TV can't even fill the fucking inventory. There's so much room for it.
I mean, Rory was playing through on all sorts of different like key shots.
Got to stick to that schedule, TC, man. I kept spreadsheets all weekend. Gentlemen, in total of golf this weekend, I watched over 9 hours of commercials.
What was your favorite commercial and your least favorite commercial?
Up to 9 hours of commercials. and I get it. I watch a lot of golf. I watched almost every single day, Thursday through today, 9 hours of ads. That's fucking crazy. Now I will say the weekend, you're right, Neil, it did get a little bit better. They brought it down instead of 19 and a half, almost 20 to right around 10 minutes. But they get you when they bring a ton of on-screen stuff through. Playing through, what I thought when they first introduction was just like, oh, this is just a temporary solution that like we're going to make this so it takes up like this little corner of the screen and you're still going to be able to focus, but it's not. It like continues to creep and creep and creep and creep. The planes, the audio this week are ridiculous. Now, this is the same network that we started this year with a commercial-free hour, I think, thanks to our old OEM partner in Hawaii. It's the same people who are bringing.
That was Golf Channel, not NBC, and that's an important distinction.
Very true. Okay, but I'll say this: the drones, like we saw this, we saw like chasing drones and stuff like that all over the place, all of winter and spring. Where's everything at? Because TC's been harping on the camera angles, how it just washed everything out. I don't think, again, I didn't play this golf course, but I don't think this golf course was like awesome to see. I'm not like chomping at the bit to go see it from what I saw on TV, and that it just sucks because you guys have the complete opposite thing, and it just doesn't make sense to me. And if we're watching it on TV, isn't that like something that's supposed to shine through?
Yeah. It's the whole reason of having it there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm defending them weirdly, but like what was additive of like having AO and Jim Gallagher Jr. on Sunday and Saturday go out early and like highlight some features, right, and slow down and like show it off. Again, it just kind of felt like the firmness never delivered on a lot of the stuff that we thought was going to matter a lot. Didn't end up mattering a lot. That's again, why am I defending NBC this hard? But
it's just total apathy. I mean, Aunt Molly, Greg Knapp, or Tom Knapp, Pete Bavacqua, it's disgusting. They're spitting in the face of golf fans everywhere. And the more you want to get up and watch the golf early on, the more punished you get, the more jaded you are by the time the leaders actually tee off. Also, guys, I think primetime golf might be a little bit overrated.
At
least on the weekend.
I said this and you guys all ignored it. I understand that I felt like the complete outsider here, but
it's awesome on like a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday night when NCAAs or USAM is on, but like, and it's cool on Thursday or like a Thursday but like Friday or Saturday night, like I don't know. It's just, I'm worn out the next day.
Well, they pushed it like past prime time. I mean, yesterday was ridiculous. It ended at like 11:30. It's like, that was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to get in before I start? If you missed the beginning of the show, I owe TC a bet. I got a bet to pay off.
We got to shout out Leona McGuire. Otherwise, all the Irish people are going to be pissed.
She won the
Can be part of your soapbox
today. Yeah. So how this is going to work is I owe TC a bet because I made a dumb bet last night. I have to. He's got a soapbox that he can end the show however he wants, and the only way I can cut him off is by running into his garage from my studio, which is just down the street. We will have a live cam that will be following the run if you want to follow it live. But that is a debt I'm going to be paying off here. If we're ready to start that, I can start the process. Unless you guys have anything else you want to discuss tonight.
No, I'm going to start the clock though. I want to see how people were asking over under 2 minutes. What do you guys think?
I'll go right at 2. Yeah, that's a great over under.
Don't start it yet. I'll tell you when. I just got to get my headphones going here. I got to flip over.
Just stretch real quick.
Turn me up in the headphones.
TC, what are you going to cook on?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to some of the soul of the game stuff, the spirit of the rules. I think that's up there.
Cody, you got the stopwatch?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say Ricky Castillo winning on the Korn Ferry Tour today was outrageous. I did not see that one coming. He beat ADDC by in a playoff there. Did not see that coming. That was wild.
He's been beating up the Prestige Worldwide PGA Tour U rankings all year.
Is he still
what is this guy doing? Is Sully cheating already here?
Yeah, I think
number
so.
one. He never.
I'm not going to dox my location. All right, so I'm going to turn the cam off. I'm going to go outside. And I'm going to start the sprint. Okay.
Are you going to dox my location?
What do you
know? For sure.
Are you hitting start? Are we hitting start?
No, I'll tell you when. I'll come right back and I'll be ready to go.
Okay. Tron, do we know if Ricky had the choker on still, or is that
I think
a
he
bygone
did.
era?
I think he did. I don't know. I didn't. It wasn't televised. It was a Wichita Open. Great tournament. Shout out to the people of Wichita, the military industrial complex, the aerospace industry there. They have a great airport there. That's great. But yeah, I just did not see him winning. I didn't have that in my bingo cards.
I can confirm he did have the puka shell choker on today. Great trophy there in Wichita too. The big propellers.
Yeah. I do. I think we need to talk about it early and often. I think Ludwig's going to win this week.
Sure.
Like straight up at the Travelers. Yeah, it's better under the umbrella, baby.
You guys, the Beluga went 3 for 5 this week. I don't know if anybody's
really
checking that out, but that happened. Yeah, we had some parlays hit. We like that.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, Sally, you ready?
I am ready. I will begin. You can start the clock.
I'm going under 2 minutes. Under 2 minutes.
Okay. Oh, we're going
under 2. Yeah.
I'll take the over just to be fun.
Yeah, guys,
someone's gonna take the over.
I think Ludwig is absolutely like primed. He's gonna be fresh. Everybody's flying in from the West Coast after a ball buster of US Open. As far as just it's kind of a big walk. I think Ludwig's gonna come.
Talk to me about some more of the spirit of the game stuff.
Yeah, I think honestly, like the Scotty thing, like Scotty keeps finding a way to exert like maximum pressure on the rules and just squeeze every last drop out of the rules. It's tough. It's really tough. Sally, how we doing, bud? It's like a walk and talk with Blocky.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Why not you?
It's a walk and talk with Blocky.
Guys, Blocky was all over the socials again today. Kids looking up to him, all that.
Wait a minute. You think he's over the halfway point?
I think I think he's probably at the beginning of my street here.
It's gonna be
the people
electric radio
listening to this. Yeah.
TC, who's your biggest loser of the week?
My biggest
hell yeah.
TC, who's the L7 weenie of the week?
My biggest loser of the week. That's a good question. I hate to say it because it bums me out to say it.
But you have to.
I think it's probably Max. Like I'm really bummed that Max missed the cut.
Yeah.
And like I'm not saying that as like a loser in the sense of like he's a loser. It's
guys,
like,
it's getting late early here.
I know,
150.
10 seconds.
Come on, Solly.
Come on, Solly. It doesn't look like he's very close.
Close.
It's not going well. It's not going well.
Is he walking?
Many people are saying Solly's biggest loser of the week. What a bad bet.
KVV might be the biggest loser of the week. The pounds are dripping off of him.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What else, Neil? What other questions we got for
well, let's talk. I could drag a few people. I mean, JT, shot 81? Like, were you concerned?
I mean, obviously JT didn't think it was too easy, right? Oh, here he is. Here he is. He's here.
He made it.
Oh my God, he's here! Please. It's like Jim Rome and call me Chris one more time.
That's wild.
God, he's here.
That's wild. Florida man.
God, the whoop's gonna be just out of control.
Shout out to Steve Miller. His comment. I love this cops episode.
What was the number?
Get on the ground.
2.5 minutes.
2.5.
Oh God.
All right,
we're gonna have to run it for 40 minutes. Are you okay?
Pizza in McFlurry was a bad call.
This will be a good running one. You guys should make this bet every major, and one of you has to run to the other's house.
Every major
Sunday.
Kim doesn't win. Solly's got to run. Hit the track, Solly. It's another T48.
That's the show. Kim. Somebody send this out.
All right. Well, listen.
To play us out. I don't know what that means.
Tej, why don't you play us out? I'll hit
do a live.
Bang-a-lang. And with that, we're going to conclude the 2023 U.S. Open. TC, congrats on your gold medal, beating Solly. And Cody, thanks for all you did on the 1s and 2s. KVV, shout out to all the work you did on the ground. Neil, thanks for popping in today. We'll see you guys. I don't know when the next live show is.
We are back this week, this Friday, for the KPMG Women's PGA Championship at the lower course at Baltusrol, right here on this YouTube channel, and I'm pumped.
Guys, I think that's it. We'll talk to you then. Cheers. Congrats to Wyndham Clark.
Ludwig's coming, y'all.